ready to get physical. It's time to talk some this and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see the laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is the Media House Dream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! We're the Brandon! You can never have enough physical media. Physical media is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Hi, Dad, it's me. Then you can do the laugh track, whatever, you know.
The intro looks much more smooth than last I looked. That looks like you got smoothed out all the kinks to it. Looks good now, really good. Really good.
Yeah. I've worked on it a little bit. I think I could retool it a little bit more. So, but I'm liking it so far. But hello, fellow followers, and welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene. With me tonight is Tom, and somewhat of a rookie, and hopefully a runner. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
Yes. I don't have any physical media to bring on, so I'm just going to be here for a few minutes to say what I watched on my vacation, and then I'll dip out, and I'll be back on the 5th with movies that I have watched that I have in my hands.
You don't know how many people have said we miss Runner in his Netflix compared to because at least he brings up physical media.
Well, that's what's funny. It's like my dad. So my dad is not a streamer. He doesn't have a cell phone. He is a vintage type of guy. So I watched the DVDs that he has in his house, and they are Snowcake, Stockholm, A Perfect World. Those are the ones I watched at his house. And then I watched a few other movies with Justin Proper and Angus. But the ones I watched at my dad's were physical. And the only ones, he has less than 100 movies in his house. It's so weird. So those were ones that I watched.
Oh, interesting.
You guys seen any of those?
It's just a hangover, like you said. Mentioned.
Yeah. A perfect. So I'm literally just going to dip out.
Oh, Perfect World. Is that with Kevin Costner, though?
That has Kevin Costner, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
one.
years and years and years ago, I saw that one.
Yeah, he had that there, which I thought that one was pretty good. It
was on HBO all the time. I remember.
It's like, that one's pretty good. It's Clint Eastwood, so I was like, hell yeah, let me watch it. So, yes, he's got people in it that I know. Good. That's not like Saturday Night Fever or something, or I don't know. I'm just kidding. I mean,
you don't know John Travolta?
Yeah, my dad likes some of that stuff, and Tom's brought on quite a few movies that my dad owns as well that I have not seen and stuff. So I know
what happened? What happened from that generation to you? Because if your dad's old school and watches
no, you FanZcene. You extremely misunderstand. My dad is old school, but not even close to any of the same way you guys are.
We're collectors, but I mean, I could see he likes the physical media side of things.
Well, it's more he hates technology in general. The fact that he will watch a movie is he'll watch a movie once in a while. He's really not a movie guy at all. So there's a big difference there. He buys his movies at rents things at the library and stuff. But and then Stockholm has Ethan Hawke and Mark Strong, a couple people in there. That one was kind of interesting. It's like one of those ones that's not bad, but I don't know if I recommend it, but it was okay. And then Snowcake has Alan Rickman and Sigourney Weaver. That was very much not the type of pace for a movie that I like, but it was an interesting little one. He helps out this girl on the street, just giving her a ride somewhere, hangs out with her for a little bit, kind of likes her, and then they get hit with a car and she dies. That's the hook, basically.
Spoilers.
And then he talks to the mom, which is Sigourney Weaver, and she's got got some type of mental thing. I forget if it's autism or something else. And he like is talking to her, and he's like feeling like getting to know her a bit. And I fell asleep part of the way through the movie, not because it's boring, but because I had a really long day and I was on vacation, so I was more attuned to sleep. But from what I saw, I liked it, and I'll try to finish the rest of it when I get the physical copy. But that's an interesting one. So people in the chat, those are some of the ones that I watched. And I also watched Circle on Netflix, which I thought was in the Saw universe, but that's apparently called Spiral. Different one. That confused, and it confused me because the premise this fits in Saw almost perfectly, because there's 50 people that are just getting like killed, and they have to like figure out what's going on, and it's like, oh, there's only one of us can survive, and it's like how do they determine as it goes down? Like every 2 minutes somebody has to get killed, and they can all vote for who dies and stuff, and or it'll just like choose or something. It's like that was a pretty interesting premise for a film, and there's no resolution at the end. There's no clear answer at the end of like why this happened, which is a very ballsy choice. Then I also saw The Hangover, and I enjoyed that. That was kind of cool. Everybody, I thought I was gonna hate it because everybody hypes it up so much, but it was pretty fucking funny. And I was hanging out with Justin Proper and Black English Reviews and stuff, watching it. And I met them in person because they're in the same area as my dad, pretty much. So got to hang out, and that was fun. That was fun. Well, I watched a lot more movies than I thought I was going to on my vacation. But they're
exciting
good.
Exciting times.
Yes.
I'm gonna say hi to the chat real quick. And
no, you're gonna. I'm gonna dip out.
You're done. That's it. Okay. Well, we'll see you later, Rook. Have a good
later,
one,
guys. Good seeing you.
See ya. Well, now that he's gone, let the grown-ups talk. I guess Runner ain't showing up tonight, so Steven, I know you're in the chat. We may be calling you in to pitch hit for Runner. But to the chat out there right now, we have Film Watcher 96 saying, "Hey, what's up, Film Watcher 96? Think you might be a new name in the chat. I think I've seen your name before on the channel, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen you in the chat. Let me know that." And then we have FKHC 2005. He says, hell to you, Style Section. Hell to the Physical Media crew. What's up, Steven? Salute to you. Ace Hanlon says, bruh. And then the Cowabunga dude that always says, what's up to you. And good vibes to you, Random Brad. Glad to have you here. And howdy, Dub Effect. Glad to see you again this evening as well. And then hail to you, Brian Barth. And hello, Corley and Rogue. Glad to have you with us. What's up, Stephen Luther? Glad to have you in the chat. Hell's Tim Hayes. Glad to have you with us too. Let's see. I'm trying to get to this. Take care, Rook. There we go. Where's Runner? I thought Runner was supposed to be coming tonight. As far as I remember, he said he's off of college. He's moved back home. He's going to join the show for about a month or whatever while Rook's gone. And so I don't know. I said, who knows where he's at? He could be at Best Buy outside in a tent right now saying, damn yous. So who knows? What's up, Godzilla? Glad to have you with us. He says, hey, dudes. And then that's who we have with us tonight. But yeah, glad to have you guys with us in the chat tonight. Steven, are you free? Delete a scene. Steven, are you free? Because if you are, I'll send you the link and you can join us tonight. If you want.
Down.
Come on down. The price is right. But with that being said, what do we got for coming new releases? We got. I don't think
I haven't kept up so much this week. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, because I don't think there was much news. I'm gonna look real quick. Let me see. I just had it and I just went off my damn computer. There we go. We talked about that. The Shotgun Stories is coming from Sony. You ever heard of that movie? Stars what's that guy who played Zod? I don't know.
Terrence Stamp.
No,
Michael Shannon. I mean,
yeah, Michael Shannon. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Looks like it stars Michael Shannon, and it's called Shotgun Stories. It's filmed by Jeff Nichols. Never heard of it before.
I know they're claiming Friday the 13th Part 2 is coming again, even though we were supposed to have it like last September.
Yes. We got the Rocky 6 film collection coming 4K.
Which we already knew about, but yeah.
Yes.
Which is weird. Well, the thing that's, we got a date on it now, but I thought it was going to get delayed, so I guess not. I think it's still coming in July now. So,
yeah.
Yep, July 16th.
July 16th, and then I'm trying to see. I don't see if there's much more other than. Did we get the Criterion? We got the Criterion ones right last time. I think we
I
did
think
the
so.
show. Yeah.
I believe so. I think Kino had 1 or 2 announcements they made this week.
I did see the Harvey Keitel 4K. What's that? Bad Lieutenant is coming.
Yeah, that's been.
Did we ever cover that one?
We did, but I mean, maybe they updated all the info on it. That's probably the new thing. I'm trying to think. What else did they announce here in the last week or two? In and Out. I think we got that one already. General's Daughter. Can't Stop the Music. The Village People movie.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. 88 Films is releasing Legacy of Rage, the Brandon Lee movie, and directed by Ronnie Yu.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's his one and only. I want to say Chinese film.
Oh, it's actually got him in it.
Yeah, it stars Brandon.
I thought
Lee.
it was like his life. Oh, I thought it was like his life story kind of thing or something.
Oh no, it's called Legacy of Rage, starring Brandon Lee. I think this is directed by Ronnie Yu, and I think it's the one and only movie he did in China.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that might be interesting to see. Oh, there's a couple Shout Factory exclusive titles to their website. Darkness starring what was that?
So did they now?
Yeah, Darkness starring Darkness starring Anna Paquin, and Fear City starring Tom Berenger and Melanie Griffith and Billy Williams.
Yeah, don't give a fuck about either one of those.
Yeah, me neither.
Darkness is the one about the killer goddamn tooth fairy. That thing was horrible.
I never
remember
seen
that bastard. I don't remember watching it, but I just remember it being horrible, and that's what it's about.
Oh man.
It's about a killer tooth fairy kind of thing. Like it's this whole town freaks out at night. Yeah.
What's up, Poker Ace? That's crazy. Fear City looks.
Fuck you, Shout Factory.
Yeah, fuck you. Speaking of which, I was talking about that a little
Fear
earlier.
City does look kind of like it might be something good.
Yeah, it looks, but I ain't spending.
Not that much. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous what they have for that. But speaking of Shout Factory, I was talking about them earlier. The Dead Pit Radio guys who got screwed over by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. If nobody's seen that video, check out the video they put out about it. You want to know how petty Shout Factory really is, and I'm surprised we have nothing to hit. They can hit of us, but I'm surprised they haven't tried.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because we say
we own that. No, you don't. Fuck off.
Yeah. All they did was talk some shit about Shout Factory and the Killer Clowns guys insert got ripped completely underneath the plastic, and that's not the plastic that's holding it, that's the plastic wrap where they've wrapped it completely, and they talk shit about that, and then the Shout Factory was petty and DMCAs or whatever on their t-shirts, and then they said like only one of their t-shirts was anything related to Shout Factory. So
I'd sue the fuck out of them.
Oh, I would too, big time.
I mean, where I'm at right now, there's not a whole lot I can do, right? Like I said, all they're doing to me right now is just being a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it difficult for me to have to go around and ask friends and people and do things to get ways of getting their special shit that I really feel like I need. Which, to be honest with you, none of it I really need.
Right.
So that's the thing they need to understand. Is my interest in them is waning completely, and I'm gonna kill you, cat. Just jumped up on my supper. Hey, Steven! Yeah, fuck Shout Factory.
Yeah. They've definitely fallen through the years, big time.
They're not the same.
Yeah. But welcome, Steven. Glad to have you here with us this evening, this night, whatever time it may be. Glad to have you. Runner finally got back to us. Good. Glad to have you. Runner finally got back to us. Said no, he won't be here this week. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to fill in.
No, glad to have you here, Stephen. But I think that was about it. I think we pretty much covered everything last week. I don't think there was anything else new. So yeah. With that, Tom, you want to go ahead and go first since you got a bunch tonight? Well, I know you're taking care of some stuff with the
Well,
cat
what I was going to
thing.
do real quick was, since you talked about it, sorry, I just had a mouthful of food.
No, go ahead.
Since you talked about it last week, I finally got my Killer Clowns late last week. Speaking of Killer Clowns, God damn it, Cat! I am gonna fucking whip you out the door. He knows. I don't want him up here, but he still does it.
If I fits, I sits.
And he's persistent as fuck. Fine, you go look in your window and you stay away from me. All right. He's like on the other side of the camera now, up in the window. So anyway, so I got this. And of course, we talked a little bit about this. This is actually the original MGM release way back here.
Yeah.
So basically what you get is the special features carried over from here, like we brought up. But all the newer stuff that's on the Arrow release is not on there. And to be honest with you, if you have this already, it's not worth the upgrade unless you're that big of a fan. I had to a point where I was going back and forth between the two. There is very little discernible difference. And this is a 2K down converter, the 4K scan. And there's shots in this on this 4K Blu-ray that look just as good, or on the regular Blu-ray that look just as good as the 4K. Like, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. If you showed me images, I would be able to tell you which one's which. Not without zooming in or something, because I didn't really notice any discernible difference all that much. Maybe a little bit more richer colors here and there in some of the more vibrant shots, but
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly the same scan that Arrow had, and so all like Shout Factory did was like the HDR, and that was about it, really, right? I think so.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they should have redone the audio on this movie. This is the first time I noticed it, and then it reminded me of back in the day. Like, the other audio on this movie's always been fucked. I don't know why they haven't fixed it. It's the movies. It's not even okay. It's always been this way. It has this weird soundtrack that's, even though it's Dolby stereo, it sounds like an ultra stereo soundtrack. And for those real quick who don't know what I'm talking about, ultra stereo was like the cheaper version of Dolby. But a lot of times in the movies when they'd have ultra stereo, it literally sounded like they would just set up two boom mics for stereo sound and just mix the two together in left and right channel. Right? Like, so there was never really any great discernible surround mix. Ultra stereo got better down the end of the line, but like they really were some crappy stereo mixes. And that's what this sounds like. You got times where people go out of phase and their voices are bouncing from one channel to the left and right all over because clearly of how they mic'd up the setting. Now the 5.1 mix does fix some of this and mix most of the voices down to the center channel, but there's other times where it decides it wants to emulate the original soundtrack out of nowhere. So it's this real hodgepodge of bouncing between a typical 5.1 mix and this voices are coming from all over the fucking place. And it's weird because like when you're sitting in one scene and they're not even moving, like you'll have what's his face, the cop guy, the bad guy, his name just fucking escaped me.
John Vernon's character.
Yes. Like there's one scene where he's literally sitting in the seat and he doesn't move at all in the scene. And the scene starts out and his voice is in the center and it slowly creeps to the left channel throughout the scene. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like whoever did their sound for this is horrible. They should have redone it. Anyway, that being said, yeah, it's not worth picking up or wait for a sale unless you don't have it at all.
Yeah. If and like we said, that Arrow is out of print now, right? So it's not
sadly, but Arrow's one of those, it seems like sometimes you can find their discs a little bit cheaper. Easier. Like they seem to do what do you call it? A little bit more of a larger print of their films. Cause I think I even picked up Killer Clowns when it was a little later in the game and I got it for a good price. And I got one of the alternate slip covers.
Got one of the slip covers. I didn't. I picked it up later too. And I didn't get the slip cover at all.
Right.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Yes, if you have the Arrow, keep hold of that. It's got better special features. It really is not much too big of a difference. I love the way the Steelbook looks, but basically that's all you'd be really paying for.
I'm
if
not
you get
really
this,
upset.
you know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm only upset that I didn't get the big box set because I really like the pins. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you guys. Like, and that's what pisses me off is those fucking pins are so damned expensive. I like
Mhm.
the posters, but I got more posters than I could ever put on my wall.
Yeah.
Like I could never like I could literally probably plaster 2 houses and not miss one space in the entire wall with posters that I have throughout the years. Like I've got so many fucking posters from way back when I was in a video store to vintage posters to I mean, my problem right now is just finding frames to fit them in because they're all in such different sizes because they changed the size of poster in the
Mhm.
80s and then also a video poster is a different size than a movie poster and it's yeah, so it's a fucking mess to try and find anything that doesn't fit beyond that
Yeah.
standard poster size you find at Walmart. But anyhow,
Yeah, but that's typically why I pre-order from other sites that aren't Shout because I don't need those posters. I know they're cool to have and collectible, and I know people love them, but I don't have room for them,
their
so I
quality
don't need them.
varies too. That's the other thing I hate.
Mhm.
One time it'll be like a more tag boardy kind of poster, like, you know, a more sturdy. The next it'll be like a typical standard rag paper, not rag, but like, you know, magazine rag.
Mhm.
It's like inconsistent as fuck.
Right. So that's another reason why I don't need all those posters that they get. But John Vernon in Killer Clowns is really, really good. He plays the smarmy,
He's just an
smart ass cop.
asshole.
He's just like he's perfect as the asshole cop in the movie, and you love to
These
see his
fucking kids.
and they're all calling him like Killer Clowns, right, and he hangs up and mother trying to make a fool out of me, drinking a bottle of Jack.
His own mother could have called him and be like, yeah, sure thing, ma.
He's so great. He's great. And then, like, he even foreshadows his death in the movie when he says, you make me into a puppet or whatever. So, yeah. So he's great in the movie. He's really good. He's always got that sense of, you know.
No, all my griping has nothing to do with the film. It has everything to do with quality and all that.
Definitely. Yes, Random Brad does amazing work. I've seen his art on his Instagram stuff. He does awesome art. So yeah, I believe so. Doba Fett said he got Killer Clowns, the UHC Steelbook on Target, buy 2 get 1 free sale. So there you go. Says John Vernon playing. It pretty much that's his character. That's what he plays. And
I didn't know there was a buy 2 get 1 free. Are they still running that sale?
I don't know. Doba Fett.
I'll go to Target.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you hear about these people like John Vernon who typically play the characters, or William Atherton. They always say they are the nicest guy. Like, even if I remember in some of the interviews from the Arrow one, they said that John Vernon, that people that worked on Killer Clowns, said he's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. People say William Atherton is one of the nice, and they play assholes so well.
Thomas Wilson, the guy who plays
Biff. Yeah, and he's like one of the nicest. Exactly, he's like one of the nicest guys in the world.
Have you guys ever heard his Back to the Future song?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It's like, do you know Michael J. Fox? He's
yes,
nice.
I do. He's nice. You guys hang out? No, not really.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
I was working with Crispin Glover. He's weird.
Yeah, he's weird. I think everybody said that though. All right. Well, since we got the Killer Clown talk out of the way, but like, yeah, like if you guys could get the Arrow one, get the Arrow one. It's well worth it. It's well worth it. So, I think it's just something those nice guys tap into because they're so nice that they can just
they're empathetic and aware of what makes a bully a bully.
Yeah, so they know how to play it.
To where it's real assholes. That's sometimes where you have a lot of these guys where I'm sure most of the movie stars are dicks because they're all they know how to do is play a hero, right? Because it's making themselves look good, you know, like all the time.
Mm-hmm. And so these like character actors who know that can tap into that. Oh, that's sad to hear that he would refuse to sign your Back to the Future stuff, Doba Fett. That's sad.
Really?
Maybe you should have had a Let's Get Harry poster.
It might be because, you know, I can understand to a slight point. I think it's kind of a dickish move. I mean, if like you're there and somebody's got one thing, I'll sign it, I would say. But he does do like the cons and stuff. So that might be kind of why he doesn't do that, is so it's, you know, it's part of his revenue. But to me, that's kind of a dickish move. I I'd still sign one thing and just remind the individual that, normally I do this stuff for it, like cons and stuff, and let them know whatever my next con is, and say like, you should show up there with a bunch of this stuff. Just sign one thing though, be nice. But the other thing is once you sign something for somebody too, then another person wants something, and another person, and it starts. Next thing you know, you got a fucking line out the door. So I'm not trying to make excuses for Thomas. I've never met him. He might even be a dickhead and just playing the role of the good guy too. So Adoba, I totally am not saying you're wrong or anything like that. So don't take it that way at all.
He says, in fairness, Tom Wilson didn't refuse to my face. The guy at the door warned us he didn't sign Back to the Future.
See, exactly. There you go.
There you go.
So he's signing other things, but that's what he's doing. So he saves the Back to the Future stuff for the cons. That's why, probably.
Yeah, probably. But
some guys have like contractual shit with some of this stuff too sometimes. Because wasn't there something with for a while? I mean, even though it wasn't contractual, I think wasn't it Bruce Campbell, for instance, would sign certain things from Army of Darkness or something like that because him and Sam were in a fight with Universal at the time. Somebody remind me if I'm not mistaken. So, like he'd get real dickish if you wanted him to sign something Army of Darkness. He's like, I won't sign that, but I'll do anything Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. Or something like that. It was all because they were arguing with Universal at the time or something, I think.
Mm-hmm. Universal has been kind of a dick about Army of Darkness since somehow with the rights and stuff. Yeah.
Well, they're the reason we never got Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yep. They're the reason.
And Sam, I think, played a role. Actually, no, I take that back. They were going to do it, and then Sam said no. Maybe it was vice versa. One of the two.
I think Sam didn't know how to fit him into the world or something, and he didn't want to. He had to have some kind of input, and maybe they didn't want his input and stuff. Somehow, something like that. And so Sam was like, "It's fine. We're just not going to do it." something
at that point, you should have known that he could just control Bruce. So
yeah. But speaking before we get to Steven and Biff, I know we went from Killer Clowns to this, but do you guys know what other movie Tom Wilson and Christopher Lloyd are in together? For the longest time, it took me forever to realize that they were the same people from Back to the Future when I was younger, but now I know.
What one is now? Yeah, you're gonna have to.
It's a kids movie. It's Camp Nowhere.
Nowhere. I forgot Tom Wilson was even in that. That's right.
He's the cop.
Yeah.
He's
one of those that's like a chameleon though when he's not playing Biff.
Yeah, that's why I was like, for the longest time, I didn't realize that was Biff because he's kind of a nice cop just doing his job, and you don't realize it's Biff until like years later.
Well, he does a voice when he's doing Biff too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, he does the deep
like a big voice like this.
Yeah,
like the big galoot voice.
Yeah.
Don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Just make like a tree and leave, you moron or idiot. Was he saying?
Sound like a moron? You make me sound like a moron when you say it like that. All right, Steven, what you got for us?
Yeah, what do you got for us, Steven? What's your first pick of the night?
Oh, all right. My first pick of the night is one that I just kind of recently pulled off of my shelf. Let me
does
kind
Dallas.
I wish Debbie does Dallas.
Which needs a Blu-ray release. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Damn straight. And what I've been doing lately is going back through my collection because I'm having trouble finding them when I go looking for something. Like my Enter the Dragon has been missing for a while now, and I know I have the damn thing.
Jeez.
So basically, I've been trying to pull my collection together and put them all into one room so I can see what I have left. And recently, I did a show with Jedi Bill. We're doing this month-long Salute to the Troops thing on our show Action Theater. And we recently did the movie 12 Strong, which was one of the movies I found while I was looking through my collection to see what I had left because I thought I had lost it. And it stars Chris Hemsworth, and it's Michael Shannon, who you mentioned earlier from Shotgun Stories, Michael Pena, William Fichtner, number of other actors. And it's the story of the horse soldiers of Afghanistan. These were the first guys who were sent in after 9/11, the first guys to go into Afghanistan. And it's basically their story of how they hooked up with the Northern Alliance which at that point was fractured because right before 9/11, their commander was killed, assassinated by people who were allied with bin Laden. So this alliance is fractured, and Chris Hemsworth and his men are sent in to meet up with this general, this warlord. And he's supposed to, the idea is that they're supposed to take the town of Mazar al-Sharif. However, the general that they meet up with, he kind of has his own plans and his own agenda, which I don't want to give away. But
Yeah, I've seen this, by the way.
It's a very interesting story, and the action is well done. But there's some things in it that are Hollywood and compressed, which is why I say go out and read the book that it's based on.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, while not like a big epic Oscar film or anything, is actually not bad. So
yeah, it's not too bad. It's a very American movie starring an Australian.
Yeah. It's kind of like realizing that half the guys in Band of Brothers are British,
right?
So it's kind of like that, but it's well acted and the action's well shot, and it's an interesting film. So
no, it's not bad.
Strong is my first pick.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I remember I watched it.
Vaguely remember. I've never seen it, but I remember when it came out.
Yeah. That's a good pick. I mean, I'm glad you're trying to curate your collection there and get it all together and stuff. That's something that we all need to, do. I actually need to do that because there's a lot of DVDs I sort of need to get rid of, not because some of the Blu-rays and 4Ks I have those special features, and there's ones I need to keep because there's certain special features that's not on them, and there's certain, it's a whole thing I got to go through. Yeah, I'm running out of space.
That's one of the reasons I'm going through it is space, and I'm finding movies that I have multiple copies of. Like, I don't know how the hell I ended up with the 2 Blu-ray copies of Cat's Eye, but I got them. I'm going to keep the steelbook.
I can tell you how you did that because I think we've all done that as collectors. I know how that happened.
Welcome to a Tuesday for me.
You wanted to watch Cat's Eye, so you bought Cat's Eye and you watched it, and then
why the fuck did I order 2 copies of Mean Girls?
Exactly. And then months or weeks go by and you go, oh, I want to watch Cat's Eye, so you reorder Cat's Eye, and you go, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, what just happened to me? Fucking Ocean's 11. I'm sitting here going, I don't have it, but I'll have it by next week, and then the next show. By the way, I had it this whole fucking time. Didn't realize it.
Yeah.
But this was, again, an excuse because this is the same thing with the time I ordered that Body Snatchers from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I dislike, and I don't think anybody from Blu-ray.com is listening, but my only one big gripe, there's a few minor things I have with this, but I love your app otherwise. I wish you would have it in there if I have a movie already in another set. Yeah. So I don't buy it again, you fuckers. Because that's the whole reason I have this app. Is so when I'm sitting at the store going, do I have Garfield Tale of Two Cities? Or Two Kitties, I mean. And I can look it up and say, oh yeah, I do fucking have that. Okay, never mind. Like that's the whole point of this thing. So like, besides just kind of keep track of what I do, because I got to a point where I know my collection, but where you get to the point where it's so big where you second guess yourself. And I've also second guessed myself wrong. The same thing with my DVDs. Like I'm to a point where I'm like, I swear there's got to be a box of DVDs floating around somewhere or somebody stole from me because I know I should have had this and that and the other on DVD and I don't all of a sudden.
I've been there.
Yeah.
But we did get a $49.99
holy
super
crap
chat from Doug Knight. Yes.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, 1985, Virginia loves horror. Very much appreciated. No Rook. Actually, he was here. He said, I wanted to laugh at his products. Non-movies he loves to present. Exactly. We'll go back and watch the first 5 minutes of the show because he talked about 5 or 6 movies with no movies. So go back and you can laugh at
it's
him.
Really like he doesn't get the concept.
I know he doesn't understand. It's the physical media show. It says, Tom, I'm going to watch Chucky season 3. I sadly made a promise myself in 1995 at age 10 that I will see every new Jason, Freddy, Michael, Chucky, and Leatherface movie / TV show. Well,
Oh, I
you're
don't
in.
blame you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't blame you for that because I'm a huge fan of all those too. Except I never watched the Chucky show, and
I'll buy it, but I'll wait. This one, I'll wait until it goes like on sale.
if
So I
that
bought the
one
last two right away, but yeah.
if that one image I saw from the season finale is real, it's just like
Well, I got context for that now.
okay.
Basically, that's what's his face in the doll. His other
Devin
boyfriend.
Sawa?
No,
Oh,
the other
gay
kid,
guy,
the
other
main
gay
guy.
kid.
Yeah, I forgot his
Okay.
name already.
I was gonna
But, like,
say, man, because that was kind of
yeah, it makes more
little
sense
much.
now. Yeah,
yeah.
I
But
don't know. That makes it better. It just makes sense.
It makes sense, but yeah. Well, since you gave us the $49.99 super chat, I truly appreciate that, Doug. And it deals with old school TV and horror movies, so you get this.
Freddy.
Stick that in your VCR and suck on it.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Exactly. I do appreciate it, Doug, very, very much. That's a really good birthday gift right there. That's
Hell yeah,
50
you'll be able
bucks.
to buy a couple movies with that.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll be buying movies with that. I appreciate that very much.
Well, the shitty part is how much YouTube keeps, but yeah.
Yeah, they did. I thought for a minute there, I thought they weren't going to pay me. It took them a while to get the payment this month.
Yeah, everybody, for some reason, they were a day late. I don't
Yeah,
understand. It's so stupid because I understand when it's on a weekend, but in the middle of the week, this
yeah,
was
it's like
ridiculous.
Monday.
And it threw a
Like,
lot of
really?
shit into chaos for people. Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I make a whole lot on YouTube, but it's nice to have that little extra that I
No,
get
but when
from
you're
YouTube.
expecting it to be there and shit, right? Like,
Yeah. So honestly, that has helped with my physical media collection a lot because it helps me buy, so
Right.
I don't have to just spend all my money on bills and stuff. So, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, Doug. And speaking of old school horror, so I'm gonna go real quick, and I don't have this first one here is not a movie, but it pertains to some old school 80s and it started in the 70s horror movie. I have Fiction by Don Coscarelli. This is his new book. As you can see, it's from the world of Phantasm. It's 6 short stories he wrote. Damn good book, actually. It really feels like a lot of this belongs in the world of Phantasm, which it does. It's canon, according to him. It's got a story about Reggie. It's a prequel story about Reggie, which is actually really damn good. It's got a story about Rocky. It's got a story about Toby, Toby from the first Phantasm, who's only in one scene. Don Coscarelli was like, that's always ate at him. Like, what did this guy see in this town that Jody and all them live in during the events of Phantasm? So I don't want to spoil any of these little short stories because they're really, really good. I honestly really did love the Reggie one. It starts off with the Reggie one. But I highly recommend this. It's on Amazon. I do think he sells them on his the store. You know how they all have their stores. You can get it, Kindle version or the paperback version. So I got the paperback version. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it if you're a fan of the Phantasm movies. Great stories, great character building, fleshes out some characters, tells you where certain characters are now, prequel characters. Great. Check it out. It's well worth it. Well worth the read, my friends. Well worth the read. I got this for my birthday. I was excited to get this. So, yeah. And also for anybody, because Don Coscarelli says in the opening of this book, he says, people always ask him, when are they going to make another Phantasm? They're not. He says flat out in this book, and I'm sure he said it at other places too. He says, we are never going to make another Phantasm movie because Angus Grimm has passed on. We've closed the chapter on that, but there will be more fiction coming your way because this is only volume 1. So I highly recommend it if you're for it because he can tell the stories of the world in the world of Phantasm through the book now. So there you guys have it. So any thoughts, any words? Boy. It's great. It's great. It was a good read. I really enjoyed it. I had it really once you get going, it's really like sucks you into the world, and
How do you
can
read it
tell,
without the soundtrack?
right? You got to have the music playing in the background. You got
I
to
know,
have
I
the
love that soundtrack.
yeah,
I have it.
yeah. You got to have that music. It works perfect. Part 5 is a sad, humble watch. It is. It is.
It is.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it closes off the story you've been wanting for so long, but it's just it's not great. And it's but I'm glad he's going back and making stories like these short little stories and volumes and stuff to maybe in an attempt sort of like how Stallone was like, well, Rocky, a lot of people don't like Rocky 5, so I'll make Rocky Balboa. So maybe Coscarelli's like, man, well, maybe the people that like 5, so I'll go in and make a little stories from the world of Phantasm. But no, seriously.
I did
Go
pull
ahead.
a runner this week.
Oh, did you?
I watched something on Netflix.
Oh.
What?
What?
Actually,
God,
2 weeks in a row now, I've watched something from Netflix that's only on Netflix. I watched Unfrosted last week.
No,
Dear God.
Pop-Tart movie. I actually liked it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun. It's one of those movies that people either love or hate. I've noticed there's no in between. Either you're a fan of the satire and how it was done, or you're not. So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed that. But again, I think mileage will vary on that one. The other thing I saw was actually the Sylvester Stallone documentary Sly.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Which my only complaint was it wasn't longer. What the fuck did Arnie do to get 3-part documentary and Sly only gets stuck with 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Because it's great. It's like once it starts getting going, you're like, wait a minute, it's getting over because it covers tons of the stuff in the 70s. But then once you hit like mid 80s, it completely drops off. We don't talk about anything else after that up until then jumps right to Rocky Balboa. Nothing about Rambo, nothing about anything during the 90s, really outside of Copland. It was really kind of sporadic and picky and choosy with what it was going to cover after that. It was kind of bummed, but because otherwise it was a great documentary, I thought. But yeah, Arnold for some reason got a 3-parter, but he didn't.
And then Stallone only got it a little bit. That's crazy. Poor Stallone. But did you ever watch that thing where they did the TMZ sit down between the two, Arnold and Stallone?
I don't think so.
That was new. That just came out. That might have been on regular TV though, not streaming.
That's not ringing a bell, so I have to check that out.
Yeah. It's called I think it was something to do with Rivals. It was Arnold and Stallone sit down with the guy that TMZ guy, and they talk about their feud, their friendship, and all that they've had. I haven't watched it yet though, but I've
that was one of the funny parts in the documentary because I've told the story a few times, but Arnold and him talk about how Arnold's like, yes, stop on my man will shoot. I knew it was going to be really bad, and I didn't want to do it. So I said to my agent, I'll tell him I'll do it just to see if Sly does it, and he did it. And I laughed.
I laughed.
He doesn't say that, but he does tell the story about it. Because I've told that story, people are like, what? It's like, yeah, no, he tricked him into doing the movie. He's like, why so I can get Sly to do this? Why?
And he did.
He's a crab.
That's great. But no, yeah, that was I figured it is physical media. It is a book, and it does pertain to the movie. So if you like the Phantasm movies,
I deviated.
No, that's fine because I'm done. So, but yeah, if you're a fan of the movies, I recommend this. But yeah, there you go. That's fine because I knew I was probably the only one that read it.
Well, I think I just found out about it, whatever it was last week or whatever, when you when you had brought it up. I didn't even know he did it. Okay.
Yeah. I saw a little thing he put out where he's standing in the graveyard and he's like, hey, I like to hang out in graveyards, but my name's Don Coscarelli and I just wrote this new book. And I was like, oh, I'm buying that, or I'm going to ask for it for my birthday at least. So what's it I did? But with that, we'll go back to you, Tom. What do you got for us?
All right. Well, this one is, I mean, I've watched the movie so many times. I didn't really watch the movie again, but I compared it to the Fuck Shout Factory version. And I got the import of a movie that's been out of print for a while.
Oh, the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes. And I do have the old Shout version here. Now, the transfer and all the special features, for the most part, are exactly the same, but this also has, I don't know if you can see it here or not. the 30 Years of Garbage documentary.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
It came out in like 2018 or 19, something like that. So it's a nice little 90-minute plus documentary, whatever, about the Garbage Pail Kids as a whole, not just the movie.
Mhm.
But there is stuff about the movie in there too. But yeah, no, I mean the movie itself is trash. I mean, let's be real. But I mean, this is a nice
But
collection,
it's
and
fun
considering,
trash.
yeah, and it's region free. So for those who, it is out of print now, obviously.
Oh, that's region free.
Yes,
The
it's
one,
region
the
free.
one, it said region B on the thing, so I never bought it. Son of a
Yeah,
bitch! I
something
would
I've
have
learned
bought
about
that.
a lot of these now that I've bought in is they say that, but they're not. And it is the same exact scan from what I can tell from this one. So
I would
because
have
they even
bought
have
that.
all the same
bitch.
special features carried over. So yeah, if you're somebody who missed out on the Shout version, here's your chance. And actually, I like this cover. This is the cover I like. Anyway, I even changed the one on
Yeah,
the Shout
yeah.
to the video cover on the inside too. So like, yeah, I've always liked that cover anyway. No, I just kind of like how this looks. The thing on the back is dumb. This is the old MGM fucking DVD cover. I actually used to have that, but I gave it to somebody a long time ago, and I shouldn't because you could sell it for a while still. The DVD for a lot. This has
Right.
both the Blu-ray and DVD. And then it has the 30 Years of Garbage documentary on its own disc. So yeah, no, it's a pretty good package, and I've seen it fairly reasonably-ish priced. I mean, I wouldn't say. I think it's like $29 ish, somewhere in that region. I think I got mine from Zavi, but I'm sure Diabolic, if they haven't had it already, probably will. And I don't know what the other covers are going to be yet. I have no idea.
I'm gonna buy this. You're gonna cost me money. I gotta find it because I was going to buy that and I saw it said region B. I was like, oh, I don't have a region free player yet. So
No,
now I'm
I've
gonna have
played
to
it.
buy
Both
that.
of them play because my buddy was worried about it too, even though he has a region free player. But yeah, that was the first thing I messaged him. I'm like, no, it played just fine.
Damn, I hate when they mislabel it like that.
I think they have to.
Well, yeah, because it is.
It's one of those things now. Shout finds out about it or something like that, and they'll be like, "Oops."
Yeah. Oops. Huh. Interesting.
We swore we had a region locked, but somebody must have fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, was it us?
But like all the because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Right.
Even all the ones I've been importing of these have been region locked.
You got all that. Oh, really?
I got
The Howling
Howling
ones?
5. Oh, there's more than this, my friend. It's just every time I turn around, it's like, am I the only person buying these? Because every time I turn around and I get one, I got 2 copies of 4. Or no, 3. Sorry, 3. Remember, because I bought the umbrella and the other one.
Mhm.
I forgot I pre-ordered the umbrella one. So like, yeah, so I've got 2 copies of 3, which is probably the worst one.
Is that the marsupial one?
Yeah, I think that's the Australian one, yeah. And I think this one was shot in the marsupials, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said, where there's hardly like any fucking werewolves in it either.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. And then I can't remember if it's the 5th one or the 6th one. I think it's the 6th and 7th one are actually more based on the novels.
Hmm.
So they haven't gotten to those yet. But yeah, so I'm a glutton for punishment, man. I swear
I
to
can
God.
tell you. Well, I like the Garbage Pail Kids. I can't say much about the rest of the Howling movies.
Well,
but I do like
Garbage Pail Kids growing up, it was a fun movie as a kid. For a kid's movie, it's fun. But as an adult, you're watching this thing going, this is fucking ridiculous. The school for the ugly or the home for the ugly or whatever and shit like that. Just the whole fucking concept at that point. You're just like, were they trying to be satirical or were they trying to take this seriously? Like, I don't get it. And then you find out in the making of it that the director just didn't give a fuck. He did it for a contractual obligation and that was it. So I was like, well, that answers a lot.
That's why the movie's the movie. Brandon Brad says it's $75 at his shop, his mate's shop down there in Australia. So
Jesus. Yeah, I've
that's
heard
a lot of
that
money.
the prices down there are horrid.
Yeah. Oh man. I saw Garbage Pail Kids movie once. Holy just once.
I know, yeah. It's one of those movies. As you see it as a kid, it's one thing, but if you see it as an adult, you're just like, are they serious?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in years though, so I want to watch it again. So I'm probably going to buy that.
It's a trip.
I know my brother, my middle brother, he loved the movie.
It's
had
one of those
DVD
movies
for
like
years.
yeah, it's one of those movies like Troll, right? Like it's just
Mhm.
it is in that pantheon of the top at least 5 or 10 best worst movies ever made. Like it's actually semi-watchable on top of it all, right? Because like I said, as a kids movie, it kind of works in its ridiculousness. And you can tell, like, as an adult, you're like, oh, this movie is pure camp, right? Like it's not taking itself seriously. It's completely nothing in it is there's no way you can. You got like a fucking 13-year-old chasing after a fucking senior. And you got these fucking garbage pail kids who come from outer space, and then you start to realize what they're talking about. Like all their friends are dead.
Right.
They were killed at this fucking home for the ugly. Like, and then you get and until you actually see the home for the ugly, it sounds like this. It is like a nightmare kind of scenario for a little child. But as an adult, once you see it, you're like, oh, okay, so this is like a Mel Brooks kind of fucking joke. You got one guy who's like too hairy, too tall, too short, too fat, you know, all that kind of stuff in there. So it's like, oh, okay, it's a joke. It's a play on. So in a weird way, it's like there was an interesting little story being told here for kids and about, you know, how to treat each other and people with differences or disabilities. But because the director did not give a fuck what he was doing, all that's just kind of lost in the shuffle of this really awkward love triangle with Sean Astin's brother.
You got to hand it to the 80s. They did that a lot in the 80s where like the kid that was like the 13-year-old kid wanted an 18-year-old girl.
That was typical. Yeah, but she actually like leads him on.
Right.
And then I think he's almost sincere at the end and he's finally like, fuck you, bitch. You know, like
now I know I can get bitches that are older than me.
Yeah, right. Like he's had a taste of forbidden fruit already. Too late. No. Yeah, I don't remember how the movie ends at this point, barely. I mean, I've seen it enough times. I kind of think that's how I remember if it ends that way. Or they have like this moment of like, you're a good little kid and someday you're going to meet somebody and I'm sorry I treated you like shit and blah, 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 blah. Because that's the other plot of this fucking movie that's dumb as weird as fuck is to get her in her good graces. He's using the garbage pail kids as a child labor force.
Wow.
To make clothes. Because she's a designer. And he convinces her somehow he can make this shit. And so they all get together and sing a song and make the clothes and turn into a little fucking shop or a sweatshop. It's like, did these motherfuckers not think this shit through? Like, what the hell are you doing?
It was the 80s, man.
It was 1987 and 88 were a strange fucking time, kids. Strange fucking time.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
It is. It's like that's the only explanation for some of this shit. Because you're just like, you don't come up with this crap after a cup of coffee or a fucking joint.
No. That's why I said I made that joke one day. It was like in today's modern Hollywood, they take a sip of cucumber water and say, let's put a chick in it and make her gay. Back in the 80s, they take a line of Coke and they say, what if a mannequin comes alive and falls in love with a dude? So it's like, that's what we get.
And becomes a sex slave? Well,
a sex slave, pretty much. That's what she does. She pretty much is like, I'll just fuck you and you get good ideals and you put them in the window. That's Mannequin. That's the movie.
That's the beauty of the 80s. They didn't think this shit through. Fuck, who cares about the consequences of what the story's saying?
Exactly.
We're having a good time. It's a little fucking like, look at, you're right, because Mannequin is a movie that should not fucking work. It just shouldn't work.
It shouldn't.
But it does because of that whole thing of we're gonna ignore this little thing over here.
He's basically screwing this doll, sort of,
as a sex slave. Yeah, it's really, you're right. It's very similar to the plot of Garbage Pail Kids, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like she ain't a genie in the bottle, motherfucker. You don't rub her the right way and she grants you a wish.
Right. She just comes live, he bangs her and he goes, hey, I'm gonna got a new window design. That's the whole plot of the movie.
You're my muse.
You're my muse. I'm an artiste.
And that's
but-
how they get away with it, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing in the 80s. It'd be like, okay, so how do we get away with this? Not so much, oh, we can't get away with this. It's how do we get away with this?
And they did it with
That's
such
how they would
heart
ask
there,
that question,
too.
right.
So they did it with such heart, like, you know, whatever. But Brian Barth.
Well, Revenge of the
Nerds.
Nerds is a great example because
Yeah.
it is basically a teen sex comedy, right?
Mhm.
Or college sex comedy. But it has so much genuine heart that people forget how raunchy it is.
Yeah.
Because
knew
that
how to work
movie,
them back then.
exactly, like it has so much heart that people forget. Like, oh yeah, you know, like I've said it before, that's like an R-rated movie you can watch with your grandma.
Mhm.
You know, where even though there's some titties and stuff in it, it's not so overt like Porky's, right? Like Porky's is clearly made for one reason and one reason only,
Yeah.
right? We clearly know, and that's part of the joke. But that's not something you're going to watch with your mom.
If I'm honest,
Although I remember that embarrassing situation when we were watching Porky's and my mom's like, cover your eyes. In fact, we're going to shut this off.
Well, the whole thing about Porky's too, which is funny, is like before it actually gets to showing any women, it shows the dude's dorks.
Yeah. Well, here's
right
the
off
funny
the
part
bat.
about the whole thing. I'm just sitting here looking in hindsight, looking at my 4-year-old or whatever self it was, because it came out on video in like 83, 84, 85, something weird.
Mhm.
Going, Mom, you know what this movie is. I'm thinking back on it now, Rick. I'm like, why the hell would you let me watch that as a child? Well, we just pull the deer hunter out while we're at it. Fuck it.
Spin the Russian roulette. But I would think, honestly, I mean, I know there's the one scene everybody talks about in Revenge of the Nerds with, you know, when he's dressed like Darth Vader or whatever, and they say that. But honestly, the worst part of Revenge of the Nerds that I think people often is like the hair pie scene, basically, because they do a little. You know, they get a little more risk. That's the word they get the most risque. But other than that, it's pretty much all, you know, just comedy with heart and a little titillation up until that point. But yeah, as far as bad movies that you love, have you seen this show, Brian? Do you know me and Tom and Steven there? We bring on bad movies that we love all the time. Matter of fact, one of the movies I have tonight. Yes. One of the movies I have tonight is often considered a very bad movie, and I love it. And I don't think Tom likes it, but I love it. Which we'll get to later. There you go. Yeah, Jaws. Lots of them.
And I'm still trying to find this. There was a stream one night where I probably was so stoned I don't even know how the fuck I got there. But I was bitching about Jaws the Revenge, and somehow I had argued myself back around in a loop about how it was the greatest sequel of all time. Because at the end of my argument, I'm like, you know what? I take that back. This is Jaws the Revenge is the greatest fucking sequel of all time.
I think I remember that show.
I wish I could find it. I've been trying to rack my brain trying to remember where I was because I just went on this diatribe about Jaws the Revenge, and after about 5 minutes, I'm like, you know what? Now the more that I think about it, Jaws the Revenge is the greatest sequel ever made. No, I can't remember the argument I made to get myself there.
Was it on one of Nick Weiser's streams, maybe?
Maybe. It was either like a Nick Weiser stream or one of these kind of streams, because it was a free-flowing stream where somehow we would have roundabout way. We probably started talking about Michael Caine or something like that, because I always like to bring up have you seen the movie yet? No. Well, I've seen the house that bought my mother, and it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, I know that.
So like, yeah, I always love to tell that story, and somehow I got it because I got on the whole thing about how the shark is obsessed.
Wants revenge.
It wants revenge because these people have done nothing but kill sharks. And it was some roundabout way of like how nature is going after the Brodies for their sins. And I got wrapped around this whole thing, and I'm like, you know what? Now that I think about it,
they're the reason what great whites are almost extinct. This family needs to be punished.
well, and it's like, because she's fucking crazy, yo. Like, fucking insane crazy in this movie. Like, how the fuck did they not go, look, mom needs to go to a home. She thinks the shark is chasing her. Yes, the actual shark. I don't know what shark, just some shark.
It's coming. It's the same one from the first movie. It's still live coming from us.
Well, and I'm sure I went down this thing about how the shark is actually more of a symbol of something, and I do this to myself all the time, and somehow, like, I convinced myself. You know how you do that shit sometimes? You're just like, wait, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's like what Roy Scheider said. Satan himself couldn't tempt me to do Jaws of Revenge.
So they killed him.
Yes, so they killed him all.
Yeah.
I still say it was the fear of the shark that killed him after all these years.
That's why the wife was so crazy, because she knew it was the fear of the shark that killed him.
You know, and I know this wasn't it, but maybe I come up with another diatribe sometime where really the shark isn't there. There is no shark. She's the killer. She's using the shark as an excuse, like Psycho.
Right? She's got
my husband's dead. Sure, it was a shark. My kid's dead. Sure, it was a shark.
Exactly.
How in the world is the odds? That bitch did it.
She did it.
You better watch the fuck out.
She puts a fin on and goes swimming in the water.
She knocks on the door. Candygram. You're that pesky shark. I'm just a dolphin, ma'am.
The review of the film is hilarious. Roger is asking Gene, what shark is it? This
what's even greater is the fucking, if you guys want to laugh and a half, and I mean it's kind of a long way around to a laugh, but if you stumble across Jaws: The Revenge on the novelization, get it. Because not only is it rare and worth a little bit, it is fucking even batshit crazier than the fucking movie. Because at least in the novel they try to explain this shit. There's a voodoo curse, kids, on the Brody family. I shit you not. That's the Jamaican connection too. That's left kind of on the cut. I don't know if this must have been in the original script, because I'm sitting here going, now this, because I read the novel before I ever saw the fucking movie as a kid. And as a kid, the novel made complete sense to me as a kid, because I'm a kid. I'm fucking 10. Okay.
Yeah, you read it when you're 40 and you're like, Jesus, tap dancing Christ.
What the fuck did I do?
What is this? But Bart says he thinks he remembers that stream you were on. So
I know it was a while ago too. Now we're talking 2-3 years at least. And actually, it might even be somebody who doesn't even stream anymore. That's the other thing, is I think I might have an idea whose stream it was on, but it was somebody who left YouTube a long time ago. But yeah. So, or at least not somebody I've been on their channel in their circles for a long time. Nobody I got into a fight with or anything like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Happens. People come and go. All right. Well,
anyway, Garbage Pail Kids, it's worth it if you don't have it, if you're a fan, or you for some reason want that thing in your collection.
I do.
If anything, the documentary is worth it.
Yeah, I want it just for all. I want it for the movie and documentary. I like the movie even though it's a crazy shitty movie. So I want it.
That movie just made me want to live where the Tops factory was back in the day.
Oh yeah, with
because they said the whole town would start tasting and smelling like sugar after they'd start making gum. That's the sweetest place on earth, man. I love the smell of their gum. I hated their gum because it only lasted for like 2 seconds and broke your fucking teeth and cut your gums.
Mm-hmm.
But it had the greatest smell in the world. And maybe it's a nostalgia thing for me, like, because just that cracking open a pack of Topps cards and that smell. Even the cards that didn't have the bubblegum smelled like it, right?
Right.
So I can understand how that whole town probably smelled like that.
That take you back, man. That would take you back. I still got packs of cards that I have not opened with the gum in.
Same here. I've got a whole couple boxes of cards.
Yeah.
The sad part of that is that shit deteriorates and just basically ruins whatever card or two cards that
on
are in
the top.
contact
Yeah,
with
on
it.
the
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
It just becomes this oily mess.
Yeah. That's a bad thing. All right. Well, with that being said, which I'm gonna have to get, I looked on Diabolic. Diabolic doesn't have it, but Orbit has it. So
There you go.
yeah, I'm gonna have
How
to.
much are they charging for it?
A little more than I wanted because you said it was 20
40-ish?
something. There, yeah, 40 bucks.
Well,
You
what
said it
I
was-
did is I ordered enough stuff from Zavi to get it. I got my version, my friend's version, because he wanted it too, and I can't remember what else I ordered at the same time, so I could get the free shipping from Zavi or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not above paying that price. I'm not because
That's probably why I got it cheaper though.
Yeah.
So you're probably paying the import price and all that business too.
Yeah.
But again, and you can't complain about, at least Diabolic and stuff. They'll do that, and it gets you there faster. Because in fact,
Yeah.
one of my next picks going to be bitching a little bit about that.
We'll get to that. We'll go to you, and then since you got, we'll do you after. We'll do Steven, then you, and then back to me because you got a little more than us. But Steven, what do you got for us for your next pick?
All right. Well, first off, rookie runner, if you are still listening, pay attention because this is how it's done. Now, with my first selection, 12 Strong, which of course stars Chris Hemsworth, as I said, Random Brad Creator brought up into chat the movie Land of Bad, which stars his brother, Liam Hemsworth. Came out earlier this year. Brad seems to like it. I liked it a lot too. Now, my next selection was the previous movie from Land of Bad's director, William Eubank. And, well, it's also about underwater creatures using humans as a snack, and that's underwater.
Never seen it.
And I have an interesting history with this movie, and I didn't like it when I first saw it.
Okay.
But it always kind of stuck with me for whatever reason. And I decided to, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to give it a second look because I am a sucker when it comes to monster movies. Those are kind of like my two go-tos. Kind of cheesy 80s action movies and monster movies.
Nice.
And so I went back and I watched Underwater a second time. And I realized I really didn't give it a fair shake. Now, granted, it's not a movie for everybody. Everybody is not going to dig it. And I understand that. But it's got this weird... There's a point in a B movie where you always start caring.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a point in this movie where I started caring. Even for T.J. Miller's character, even though he won't shut the fuck up. He just did their whole movie. No, stop.
Michael Bay literally killed him because he didn't like him.
Yeah, that was fucked up. But yeah, that happened. And then Michael Bay is going to fucking love this movie then because spoiler alert, T.J. Miller also dies in this. by having one of the creatures suck him out through his wetsuit.
Suck him where?
Through the wetsuit by his leg. And he basically is a big, explosion of blood. And, well, that's it for him. But, it's, for anybody who's a fan of monster movies, if you like Deep Star 6, if you like Leviathan, this is the 2022 or whatever year the movie came out version of that. And it's kind of also an interesting spin on kind of Lovecraft and Cthulhu and all that, because the director of this film has already said the giant creature who's referred to.
I totally missed the movie.
The behemoth. It's
what movie is this?
Underwater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is the director has stated it flat out that the creature at the end is supposed to be Cthulhu.
Hmm.
So K-Stew versus Cthulhu, as I called it, you know. And I'm not a big Kristen Stewart fan, and I know
Neither
she's
am
a
I.
turn off to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and she usually is to me too, but she's actually pretty good here. When she drops the whole blinking and stammering thing, she can, and actually has someone who can direct a film director and let it shut up and go over there, you know, cross to fireplace, you know, she can do it. And she's actually pretty good here. I didn't want to hit her in the face with anything hard for a change. So, and
You're
the
full
cool
of double entendres in this speech.
yes, I am. And it's like you say, Greg, it's a one-off 90-minute movie.
There you go. That's a
And
good.
there you
I
go.
may have to give it a chance. I'm a Lovecraftian fan, but I gotta be honest. I'm not a fan of. I'm just not a fan of her. Just not.
No, I completely get it. I completely understand. But like I said, she is actually good here. And she's a character who's kind of keeping a lot very close to the chest. And because she's, you know, she's someone who has kind of suffered a loss prior to the film, and that kind of figures into the plot a little bit. And you know, so she's somebody who's kind of very closed off and is kind of quiet, and then kind of has to find her inner Ripley to get everybody out. So
Right.
it's a good performance by somebody who I don't normally like. In a movie I wasn't expecting to like, but you know, I ultimately did because it's well made. The monsters are really cool, and you know, sometimes you got to give a movie a second chance. And like I said, you know, it's very much along the lines of like Deep Star 6 and Leviathan, and if you like those movies, you're gonna like this. So
Okay.
worked for me.
I may have to give it a shot. I'm like I said though. That's one of the reasons why I have never seen it myself. Is I'm not a fan of her. But may have to give it a shot. I may have to give it a shot since you guys
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, Brian Bart, TJ Miller got in some trouble.
Kind of got canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, he got
He's-
canceled, and that's why he disappeared. So, yeah. And like I said, Michael Bay hated him so much in the Transformer movie he was in. He literally wrote a scene to kill him out of the movie that was not in the script or in the original as they were shooting it because he hated him so much. So, but okay, I have to see. It's called Underwater. I'll have to put it on
Yeah.
my list, and maybe I'll give it a chance.
We've got a couple of fans in the chat here for this one. So
People seem to like it. Even Corley and Rogue, who said people didn't give it a chance because of her, but it's actually pretty cool. So see, we'll have to look at that.
And if I remember correctly, yeah, Joey is right in the chat. I think Andre did say that he liked it. So
No, from Midnight's Edge, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. I've actually seen The Ritual. I think I have. If that's the one, I think it is. All right. Well, good second pick. There's deleted scenes. An interesting take on a movie that I've never seen. You. I like when you come on too, because sometimes you bring on movies that I've never seen. You definitely have a different taste outside of myself and Tom and Runner and Rook. Because me and Tom typically are very similar, and Rookie and Runner are just Rookie and Runner. So,
yeah, because the thing with me is I'm somebody who used to watch everything. Now I'm a little bit more I don't want to say prejudicial, that's not the word. I'm looking for a similar word. But you know, I'm just a little bit more careful about what I see, you know, and when and where I'm willing to see it. Like I will look at a movie and go, okay, I don't need to run to the theaters to see that. I can always wait for streaming or other places. Dare I say it here on the Physical Media Show? How
How dare you
But,
bring up
we
streaming
give you
on
one or
how
two
dare
passes.
I?
That's about it.
Yeah, you bring it up one more time, then it's, you
Judgmental.
know,
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Joey. Judgmental.
it's excommunicado. You bring it up one more time.
Okay. You know.
All right.
But, yeah.
But
Get my
yeah, I get you. I get you. But good pick there. And let's since you got a little more, let's go back to you for your next pick.
Yeah. So speaking of imports, this is one that kind of pissed me off in a lot of ways and for a lot of reasons. And this is actually going to be a multiple of ones at the same time, but you'll see why. So I'm a huge Queen fan, and they just recently re-released Queen Rock Montreal, or as it's known here in the US, We Will Rock You, on 4K Blu-ray, as you see here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had the old version and even the old Pioneer DVD of when it was still called We Will Rock You here in the US.
That's an old school DVD.
Old school DVD, yes. Now, I had to import this. At least I thought at first this was supposed to be a Queen website exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it wasn't. So I ended up waiting like 2 weeks for this to get shipped from England when I could have just ordered it from almost any, I think even Amazon.
Yeah,
might have
I seen it on Diabolic and I almost ordered it myself.
or Diabolic or something like that, right? So I was kind of pissy about that. And then I get the damn thing in the mail and it's like in a paper thin package. And this is the setup.
Ooh, I don't like the cardboard thing like that.
I don't either. It is chintzy cardboard, and you get the book in here, which is really just the same exact book that you got here. Like, look, if you have this already, it is somewhat worth the upgrade, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I had some issues, and I'm not the only person. I tried this in my Sony player. Wouldn't play. It just loops the menu over and over and over. Like, the stuff is supposed to come up on the right side of the screen. It won't pop up. It just sits there and keeps looping the menu. Can't do anything. Same thing when I tried it on my Xbox. So I went and looked around. It seems people are having the same problem. Also with the Toshiba players, or Panasonic or Toshiba, I can't remember which, or both.
Right. Yeah.
Finally, I even tried updating my player, which I'm not a fan of doing. That didn't work. Finally, I got it to play in my PS5. It was janky as fuck. Like, it quit working on me twice.
Mm.
And then I couldn't get back in, and then I had to take the disc out, start the player over again. So whatever it does to your player, it really sends it on a fucking tizzy. But that being said, all the same special features that were on here are carried over. You're missing the director commentary from here, though. So if you have this, you're still going to have to keep it for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have this one, you can almost switch off this one for this one, because this was a DNR disaster mess. This is too, but some of it looks amazing. You get for the first time since this version, you actually get the open matte version of the film. You get both versions on here, open matte and widescreen. Some shots look amazing. Some look like a muddy fucking DNR mess. I don't even know why they did it. And everybody kind of looks too smooth in some bits. Like Freddy looks soft throughout most of the movie. It's like you should be, but then there's some shots where you can literally see the little hairs on his face, and you can make out like each individual hair, and you can see the difference in the lighting and stuff that you wouldn't normally see. But then you can cut to the drummer, Roger, or whatever, and his hair looks like fucking Play-Doh because they got DNR applied from hell.
Ooh.
So I mean, being that it's a music concert, most people are not going to give as much of a shit. The big upgrade here is the Dolby Atmos mix of the concert, which sounds really amazing. But the DTS 5.1 mix that they had done for this one, also still here, does sound amazing. I mean, the weakest of the bunch is the original 2.0 version, which just sounds kind of tinny and empty. And then, of course, you also get the Live Aid performance, which was shot on video, so it's just upscaled like it was here, too. But you get the Dolby Atmos mix on it, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Get the behind-the-scenes stuff for that as well. Oh, I take that back. There is a new documentary on here. There's like a 20-some minute... is it this one, or is the other one I'm thinking of? think it's this one, has a new interview with Brian and Roger or whatever. And I think it's this one. Pretty sure it's this one. Or no, maybe it's actually, now that I think about it, I think it's this one. Because as I was going through, because I got a bunch of these. I got every concert that's been like legally released by Queen. I think I have. So this would be, yeah. And this one I didn't even open before I realized, and I opened it. This one has the new documentary on it, I think.
Okay.
But this is kind of similar to the other one, but it's a shot on VHS. See, that's the thing about this film that's important too. Is this I think because all like the Rolling Stones, Gimme Shelter, Woodstock, and what was the one that Martin Scorsese shot? I think those are all using 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter. I believe this is the first concert film to ever be shot completely in 35 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. If somebody wants to correct me in the chat and I'm wrong, please do. But then, so yeah, I also have the Night at the Odeon and their first release, which would be the Rainbow, which these are great releases. Of course, just keep in mind, these are standard def, shot on video. There's some stuff in one of these from China that was clearly shot on 16 millimeter, but then transferred to video and looks and sounds like shit.
Yeah.
But everything else sounds pretty good. Picture wise is the best it's ever going to look. But these are some older concerts that I enjoyed of theirs as well. So, but this one was actually shot in 81 and then released in the US at 84. So I can recommend it, but I can't recommend, I would hold off because I think they're just starting to become aware of the problem, because I emailed them and the person I talked to said they didn't have enough information to go on, but they offered me either a replacement or a refund. And I said, well, I'll take the refund for now, but hopefully you guys get it fixed. And I'm like, what the fuck's the point of getting the same thing when it's not going to work?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything yet about them fixing it, which I hope they will. So I'd assume they would, because this is actually the first release by Mercury releasing. Because so even though this one was released by like I think Universal and Eagle Rock, this is Universal, but also is the first release. I don't know if you can see it there, by this company called Mercury. So it's like Freddie Mercury's States company. Yeah. So this is their first release. So hopefully they figure it out, get it fixed, finish that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. I had fun going down Queen memory lane. Yep, that's the one. Yep. Won't play on it. Won't play on
that random.
Just get the menu and that's it. On both discs, it does the same exact thing.
Wow. Do any theories, Brian?
I think is because the menu is just so complicated and something is catching. And then the other time I got it, see, because it kept getting stuck on the menu sometimes for me in the Sony PlayStation. So I think there's definitely something wrong with the, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ron, and that's probably also why they have the open map version for the IMAX screenings, which it would have been awesome to see in IMAX, but yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Speaking of like the States,
that's the beauty of Queen. Sorry, I just want to say, because that's the beauty of Queen. They don't have big special effects. They don't have big things behind them. They have no movie screens. They hardly have any pyrotechnics. The show is Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, because
right? And you find yourself just not just that, but just he would sweep you into the fucking performance. Like he gets started, and that's why I love the Live Aid performance, because it is voted one of the best performances of all time. And you can tell why, because once he gets rolling, you realize, oh, like, holy shit, I just watched a half-hour fucking performance and didn't realize it, because this guy just has you mesmerized for that long. He just he sucks you in, and you're just like, between the vocals and just his movements and the way he presents himself, he is like a true front man, right? Like a lead man, like the true like rock star,
rock and roll, like
in that, you know, when they say he commands the stage, you know, that's Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
He burnt out fast because he burnt hard.
Yeah, he played fast and hard and he burned out. But no, did you hear that the Graceland is up for sale?
I did, ironically, today. Yeah.
So, speaking of front,
well, not only that, I heard that they're getting a bunch of shit repossessed because Lisa Marie took out a bunch of loans.
Yeah. So hopefully they get that resolved. It's amazing, these rock stars like that who've passed away and their legacies just aren't preserved as well by some. But that's, so there you guys can have it. If you want to get the 4K, there's the problems and the pros and the cons of that 4K disc. So be aware. when you if you guys decide to get it. Okay. I guess we'll go to me. Since I got let's see, you got how many more, Tom? You got like you got
Two
three
more.
more. Two more. You got two more.
Yep.
Okay. And Steven, you got how many more?
I've got one more, but I could always grab another off the shelf.
You got one more. Okay. No, that should be good. That should be good because I only got two more myself, and I'll go ahead and do mine. Speaking of movies that people consider to be really bad movies, and not a lot of people like, but I like it. I personally like it, and I had to get it from Kino Lorber, The Expert, starring John Travolta and Ari Gross and Kelly Preston, directed by Dave Thomas from the oh my God, the brothers with Rick Moranis. I can't think of their names at the moment, but you guys know who I'm talking about.
Mackenzie.
Yeah, the McKinsey brothers. Yes. Take off, eh? I don't know if anybody's seen this, but I have soft spots for movies like this. I know most people don't like this movie. This has actually been used as an example of a John Travolta movie when he was down out on, well, John Travolta did a bunch of bad movies before Pulp Fiction, and this is one of them. So this is used as an example as one of those movies. But I have a soft spot for this because I'm a fan of like movies from the 50s and 80s. And this movie is essentially there's a small town in Russia where they've been training people to be Americans, and it's like stuck in the 50s. And the guy that's running it is like, we need to update this town. We need to bring in, because if we're going to send our operatives into America, they have to be up to speed with America. So he goes to New York City, and he gets John Travolta and Ari Gross, who are these nightclub wannabe guys. They want to make their own nightclub. He tells them they're going to this small town in Nebraska to open up a club, and he takes them there. And so it's like they've time traveled to the 50s, even though it's Russia, and they open up a nightclub and basically bring the 80s to this town, and in the process win the hearts of these people and decide, they bring them back to America. So that's pretty much the plot of the movie. It's funny. I like it. I think it's a great little movie. Yes, this is the movie where John Travolta and Kelly Preston met and they got together. She was smoking hot. She's smoking hot. She has a scene in this where she comes out and dances, and she's smoking hot. She looks really good in this. But this is something about this movie I really loved, and Kino finally put it on Blu-ray. So I had to get it. And it's well worth it. It's, in my opinion, it's well worth it. It looks good. It's only got one new special feature, the making of the experts with director Dave Thomas, and they must have filmed it during like well, you don't know anymore because like COVID's been over, but like they started filming special features through like streaming, like we do here. It's like Zoom calls and stuff. So it's basically just like a Zoom call with Dave Thomas talking about the movie and how he directed it, how he came to be, and how he got the actors. And Gilbert Gottfried was actually auditioned for the role of John Travolta's best friend in this movie, and they said he couldn't have been more wrong, but it was a fun audition. So they talk about that. I would like to have seen the audition. That would have been cool if they could have found that footage, but they don't have that footage. So yeah. I don't really know what happened to Travolta's career in the 80s.
I totally missed what movie this was.
Oh, you didn't miss it again? It's The Experts with John Travolta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got that, but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, did you?
I remember seeing it when I was a kid, like years and years ago.
Yeah, me too. And I just watched it. I liked it. It's a fun little look back. I had, there's something to be said about small town America that I think a lot of people still long for. Because that's what it's really about, is like in the process of bringing the 80s to this small town, which isn't even a small town in Nebraska, it's Russia, but it feels like a small town in the 50s. In the process of bringing the 80s to it, they fall in love with this town and the simple life of it. And I think a lot of people in the world really want that and do miss that small town feel like they had back in the day. But no, it's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I think, Travolta's career, why it fell hard in the 80s was like he started doing movies that I guess just didn't hit. Like, for instance, this movie was filmed in 1987, The Experts, It was filmed in 1987, and they held it off for 2 years and didn't release it until 1989 because it tested bad. And they actually said they wanted to bring Travolta back for some reshoots, but he had gained like 30 pounds from when he filmed it, so they couldn't do reshoots for the movie to try to fix it. And but I personally like it as is. So he went from like Grease to Urban Cowboy to and Saturday Night Fever before that and all that, and he kind of just fell off. I just really don't know what happened. I guess it just bad career choices after certain movies. Yeah, as Moose, I see John Travolta.
He's like a comeback kid. He's had so many revivals, and you know why they probably released that in '89?
Mm-hmm.
That was when he had his big comeback.
Oh, was it? Which one was it? Was that? Yeah, Look Who's Talking. I was about to say, yeah. Probably, yeah, I could believe that. I could believe that.
And so I did 82, 83, he started becoming a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, he's all right in this movie. He's giving it a little bit. It's not like he's just like walking through the movie. He's doing all right. He's doing the best he can, and I had a fun fascination with it. But I believe, now you said that's probably why they did hold it off. And also, like I said, that's probably why he put on some weight too, because for that, by then, because he couldn't do reshoots after that. So he got welcome back. I like that. He's due for another comeback. Yeah, will Travolta make it? You never know. He's due. It's like, what's his name? Like Sean Astin, how he does what he does. Have you ever seen that where he talked? I can't remember what I saw that on, but he said like every 10 years or so, which I guess it's probably been more than 10 years now, but like every 10 years or so, something big happens for Sean Astin. Like he did the Goonies. And then like 10 years later, he did Rudy. And then like 10 years later, he did Lord of the Rings. So, so it's been more than 10 years since Lord of the Rings now. He hasn't really done much since then. I wonder how long, because he got really big from Stranger Things. He sort of got a little bit of a resurgence with that. So I wonder how many years from then was that. It wasn't huge, but he's like
character acting because like he did 50 First Dates and stuff.
Yeah, he does character acting. But yeah, he said like every 10 years or so, for some reason, he gets a big like career boost, and then it goes back down. So that Travolta, he's sort of on the same path. He may make a comeback. You never know. Maybe he'll bring back Battlefield Earth.
I think he thought The Fanatic was going to be his comeback, and I think
oh no,
he went for it in that movie.
Because he puts his all into that movie, but I don't think he knew what movie he was in.
He thought he was doing something really good.
Well, he should have known he was in trouble when his first line in dialogue is "I gotta poop."
I think he thought he was doing like a Forrest Gump kind of role or something. I don't know, not Forrest Gump, but you know what I mean. Like,
you never go forward.
He's so out of touch, man. And I've heard so many stories about Travolta. Yeah,
it's true. But I did enjoy it. The scan looks pretty good for the experts. It does come from a 4K scan, surprisingly, which makes me think, will this get a 4K down the line? Who knows?
Eventually, probably.
Yeah, but
a lot of these, they're doing the 4K scans for the streaming versions, but then, like they're evaluating if they're even really worth, releasing in 4K.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Not many people, besides maybe you and myself, are going to buy the experts on Blu-ray. So,
yeah,
that's it.
That's part of the reason I heard that they decided to do Fletch the way they did. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, there you guys have it. It's a fun little movie. I like it. I love the Americana of it all. I love the fit. Even it's just I just love that Americana. Like we really have lost something through the years with like what we've done and where we're at right now. It really makes you look back at like the time and you think, shit, even from the 50s to the 80s when like they even like start updating the town to the 80s with VCRs and video stores and stuff like that. Like we really gave up a lot of shit through the years for certain things anyways, but hey, that is what it is. But there you guys have, that's my second pick of the night. We'll go back to you, Tom, since you got a little more than me and Steven.
All right.
That way we can all sort of close
This
it all
is going to be
around.
a quick one anyway. In the music realm of things, I had not seen this before, but this is of course a classic from the 50s, Rock Around the Clock.
I've heard of it.
Um,
I've not seen it myself.
the absolute untrue story about how rock and roll came to be. But it's actually an entertaining little movie, and the music's good. The sad part about this release is it feels like Sony went and did I don't know what the fuck. Because like if you could see the cover, like the quality of it, like looks like
Yeah.
it was printed on somebody's printer.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks kind of
This
faded.
is like this lame ass white. It's a full printed disc, but I was like, is this an MOD or something? But no, it's real. But I'm like, and the movie's transfer is not the greatest. Now I did some research and found out that this movie does not have the greatest history when it comes to its transfer because it was shot in 131 or 1331.
Mhm.
And this is cropped, as was the DVD back in the day. And although if I didn't know, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell, because I think one of the reviews of this said that this is one of the better cropped versions of it. But yeah, I mean, the look wise, it looks like a much older scan. Now it may even come from the negative, but it's a much older scan. Like
Mhm.
it looks like what I would. It looks like a scan they probably did for cable, and then they just threw the disc out because I didn't even realize this just come out. I thought this was an older disc when I bought it at first, and then I looked. I'm like, oh no, it's a brand new fucking
Brand new.
release. Like, and no real special features, just an audio commentary with a journalist and a critic. And I'm like, this movie deserves a lot more love. What the
Right.
fuck? First of all, it should be in its full, open mat ratio.
Mhm.
And why doesn't it have a new sound remix?
Yeah, with like all the rock and roll music and stuff from the 50s.
I mean, yeah, because most of this movie is just cutaways to rock sequences, right? Like we hear "Rock Around the Clock" like 3 fucking times in the movie, which is a good thing. It's a good song because otherwise you're going to be sick of that song by the end of the movie. But I mean, no, there's some other great songs in here too, like "The Great Pretender" and "Only You," and I mean, some great "See You Later, Alligator," another one from Bill Haley. Like, there's some great tunes in here, and these are the only times you're really going to see a lot of these guys performing these songs and such.
Mhm.
I mean, it deserves a lot more love than this. This one and the other one, I couldn't believe. Go Johnny Go hasn't gotten a decent fucking release yet either, and that's the only time that I know of that Richie Valens was on film.
Oh man.
So it's like, why are these movies not getting a little bit
Yeah,
more
why-
love
this
here,
is
especially
like
from
rock.
Sony?
Yeah,
Like
this
this
is like
feels
rock
out of place
history.
for Sony. Yeah. And this feels out of place for Sony. Like I expect much better from Sony than what this looked like and stuff. And maybe it looks this way because they blew it up into the widescreen, but
Mhm.
yeah, I wish I could recommend it more. If you can find it for cheaper and you're a fan, this is probably the best it's ever looked and sounded. I mean, it sounds pretty good, but this is one I'll probably check in with the damned idealistic Crusader about because uh I'm sure he'd feel the same way on this. Like this movie's been butchered because
Yeah.
of its. And I mean, there's maybe even been some audio stuff like done to it as far as to reduce like. I mean, I'm sure they lost the original stems and stuff, but with technology now, like this is a movie that's screaming for okay, let's use that new technology to separate the audio so we can give it this really nice, sweet
Yeah.
full soundtrack to it, because I mean the story itself is really paper thin. It's really about this guy who's like it starts out he's like a band agent for some jazz bands and stuff like that, and jazz is going out of style and whatnot. Big band is going out of style,
Mhm.
and so he's like off to I can't remember where he's traveling, if it's New York or LA, I don't even remember anymore. But he ends up stopping in some podunk town on their way off, him and his buddy, and they see Bill Haley in the rock group, and they see everybody in town's going to this rock, dance, sock hop. So he's like, well, I got to take this to the world, kind of thing. And so, and then of course he goes and he meets, Alan Freed and all that kind of stuff, or he knows Alan Freed and gets it all worked out and gets it on television. And, the whole story is about how he brought rock and roll to the world. And, there's a little love story in the background and all that kind of stuff. Love triangle actually kind of works out a weird, funky, funny way. And it's one of those movies that's like, there's no way it would really work this way, but it just, it's endearing and it's sweet natured, and you don't dislike the characters. The music's good. I mean, I wouldn't say anybody's above or better or beyond anybody else in the movie. They're fine. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's a quick little 80-minute movie. You know what I mean? It's like bam, 77 minutes actually. So like, yeah, you're just bam, 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 in and out.
Nice. This movie sounds really good because I really like I said, I really like 50s movies. I really like these type of movies, and I like the beach movies, which came in the 60s. Surprisingly, I
Oh
know
yeah,
I
if you like the beach movies, this is
I
kind of
love
the
it.
precursor to that kind of thing, sort of.
Yeah. I love the beach movies. I love those 50s rock and roll songs. That's like you're talking my alley right there because that's my decades, man. 50s, 80s beach movies. I like some nihilistic 70s stuff.
Well, this is the most famous of all of those films. That's why I'm like, why isn't this
yeah,
being
why
treated
did
better?
it?
This is
Yeah,
like Criterion Collection type stuff, kids. Like, why isn't this on it? Like,
that
what
should
the
have
hell?
some respect.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I get it. It's not Lawrence of fucking Arabia, but it's rock around the clock. I mean, as far as I know, it's the first movie to have rock and roll in it, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
maybe they couldn't locate all the original elements. I don't know, but
Even and
Sony's
still,
usually
that was
better
my
than
point,
that.
Ron. With the technology they have, they don't need it. If you check out War of the Worlds, Bren Burt, the guy who did the sound design for Star Wars, he used that new AI technology where they separate the audio tracks, and he did a new Dolby Atmos and 5.1 mix for War of the Worlds using all the original sound effects and music. So nothing, that was added to it like they had been, in recent years to sweeten the soundtracks, or to fill out soundtracks they don't have the stems for. Doesn't matter that they didn't have the stems; they were able to separate everything out, and he gave it a completely new sound mix now with all the old material that was there. So they could have done that with this. That's what I'm saying. Like the technology's there now. The sound technology's gone way beyond the picture technology. I haven't got to see it yet, but Let It Be, the Beatles movie, they use that, of course, like they did for the Get Back documentary, which was the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is it's the stuff that wasn't in Let It Be.
Right.
But yeah, so they do that here too, from what I heard. So like again, and I've heard Let It Be sounds amazing. So
Nice.
like again, I'm not against this technology because you're not adding anything to it, right? And I get it. You can make this little argument of like, well, it's actually extrapolating and figuring out what it would technically sound like on its own, but it's like it has a reference. So to me, unless something sounds completely out of whack, which we should be able to notice just as humans with our ears,
Mhm.
I'd say it's come to that point where let's use it. Put the original mono there plus this new mix. And these movies need new mixes, some of them. How many times do I come in here every fucking week basically saying, this movie needed a new sound mix?
Yeah, that's like that seems like the biggest part they're skimping out on some of these releases is a sound mix.
Well, and they're carrying over sound mixes from the DVD and Blu-ray era, which were blown out home video mixes. And I mean, like, okay, for instance, I recently got my hands on an open map version of Jurassic Park, and on that movie they have the original DTS soundtrack mix, which, for those who don't know, that was the first movie ever released with a DTS 5.1 mix. And even though it doesn't sound as sophisticated and new as the newer version, and the newer version did a good job to emulate it, George Lucas got a little bit of a taste of his own medicine, because guess what? Most people don't realize this. Since Steven was off shooting Schindler's List, George Lucas was the one who oversaw the final sound mix for Jurassic Park. And I say to this day, that's why that movie's sound design was so fucking good. Because that's one thing George does know is sound design.
Yeah.
And I listened to that original. In comparison, it sounds so like the new one sounds like they're trying to emulate the old one. The old one feels more uniform and just like I'm being surrounded. Like George knew what he was doing with that original mix. The new mix sounds like they just tried to copy George's mix, and it just doesn't have quite the same atmosphere to it and the same punch. Especially the opening scene with the raptor, like with the trees and stuff. Like, yeah, it all seems to come from the same kind of directions, but it just feels like there's this warmth or something that's missing from the new track compared to the original DTS mix. So I'm kind of getting with Spencer, aka that damn fool Idealistic Crusader, on this, where I've been leaning more towards original sound mixes lately because they sound better.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who the fuck's doing a lot of these sound mixes lately, but it feels like everything is 10 miles away, and they're just, it's like, do you not have any balls to put into the sound mix? What are you doing? It's like, you're not impressing me. You're not adding anything here to make me feel like this was worthwhile. Like, I'll still swear up and down the best sound mix Nightmare on Elm Street ever had was the fucking Elite Laserdisc mix.
Yeah, I've heard that. So it'd be
to me, that stereo mix was better than the fucking new 5.1 DTX or 6.1 DTS mix that the Blu-ray has.
Yeah. Speaking of which, they Diabolic said there's only 100 pre-orders left for the 4K Steelbook from the UK over there.
Ruh-roh.
So if you want to get onto
I
that,
pre-ordered mine from somewhere. I think it was Zavi. Yeah.
yeah. Ron wants to know. So with Rock Around the Clock, so he says so. The problem is with
Oh,
the sound.
both are good. Both are decent. They're passable, but I expect better from Sony.
Yeah, Sony's usually pretty good at their stuff.
This feels like an afterthought. This just feels like a television cable or streaming version slapped onto a disc. Like it has digital artifacting problems. It has I don't know what you'd call it, where you get the cross-stitched boxing when stuff gets, you know what I mean? Like there's some natural grain showing through, don't get me wrong, but you can tell, like I could tell like a lot of when I did the research afterwards, like, oh, okay, now I can tell why the picture looks the way it does because they blew it up and it's probably a 10, 20-year-old scan. They didn't bother doing anything to go out of their way to fix it up. And I don't think I paid all that much for it, so I can't, let me see just to, because then I'll see if I really have a good reason to bitch or not. So I don't even remember what I paid for it.
Yeah, that's probably got to be like what, $20.
I don't know. It just happened to pop up on the sale thing because of the Blu-ray thing. No, I only paid $12.87, so it's not badly priced.
Bad.
Well, that's what I paid at the time, and yeah. See, now that was on sale. See, now it's $23.99. Wait till it goes back on sale, kids. Yeah, I was very disappointed in the transfer. That was my main thing.
Well, yeah, you'd think that would be something to be well taken care of. But that does sound like I've never seen that, and that sounds up my alley because I like that. I like that type of stuff. I know I talk a lot about my horror and everything, but I do have a soft spot for these 50s movies, rock and roll beach movies and stuff. And, you know, I watch them, I like them. So that's good to know. Good to know. I may have to pick that up myself. But Steven, let's go to you, Fake Shimp, for your final pick of the night.
All right. Now, my final selection of the evening
Wise guy, eh?
is my final selection of the night is a movie that I refer to as the quintessential midnight movie. I refuse to watch this
Rocky
movie
Horror?
at any time. And that is Mandy with Nicolas Cage. And needless to say, I love the hell out of this movie. Nick Cage, crazy for 2 hours. Give me more of that. He's
Whoa, Cage!
there we go. All right.
Mandy is a trip. That you definitely got to be high watching Mandy. It's a fun movie, though.
You know, and I love the whole 70s album cover look of it. And it is a visual feast for sure. And you almost don't even need to be high watching it. You kind of get a contact high off in a movie. You know, and you know,
it just comes through the screen, man.
You are high on whatever they have Richard Brake cooking up in this movie.
Crazy Cenobite biker, Jason E.
Crazy evil. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
and
you know how much he liked it. They brought it up in the freaking the Nicolas Cage movie where he played himself. The burden of
Unbearable,
the burden.
I
They actually bring up Mandy, the axe or thing that he has in the movie. It's in that movie.
Yeah, that is a great weapon. This thing that's kind of part Klingon Batleth, part I don't know what the fuck, but you know, it works. And yeah, well, all right. Basic story for those who don't know. You know, he's Cage is living out in the woods in the cabin with his girlfriend, and everything is going all hunky dory. And then this cult shows up and fucks up the soup. And then it's Cage on this drug-fueled revenge trip for the rest of the movie. My only real complaint is that I think it's a little bit long.
It does get stretched a little bit.
It
does
does.
get stretched a little
It
bit.
does get stretched a little bit. But other than that, it's great. And Elijah Wood is a producer on this thing, which is amazing.
Well, Elijah, a lot of people, the RLJ whatever
does.
company, that's his company.
Yeah, and
He's put out a lot of that. He works with Shudder.
Yeah, he does. He does. So, and yeah, I mean, whenever somebody goes and says, Nicolas Cage is washed up and he's past his prime, I go and I bring up movies like Mandy, and I go, no, he's still got Beyond a Black Rainbow, which was the previous film by the same director. I've yet to see that, but after Mandy, I definitely would like to get my hands on a copy of that movie. But yeah, I mean, it's a trip, man. When you get those, those crazy bikers that are so drugged
like
up,
Cenobites.
they're not human anymore. They're almost Cenobites. Yeah, they really are.
Cenobites, yeah. Essentially, that's what they are, like chasing him.
Yeah. And hey, you have not lived until you see Nicolas Cage in a chainsaw duel.
Oh yeah, the dude brings out that giant chainsaw.
It's on, Yeah, I love it though, man. It's a great movie. I refuse to watch this movie anytime other than at midnight. We used to have a theater where I grew up called the Fox Theater. Unfortunately, it is no more. But this is a movie that they would have shown at midnight. This is the kind of movie they would have shown. So it does take me back to a time in my life that I remember with some fondness as far as movies were concerned, and it's a nice throwback to that time period. I can see this movie being made in the 70s or in the 80s, maybe not quite the same way, but it definitely has that influence on it.
Yeah.
So I dig the hell out of it.
It's a good movie. I like it. I do. It's insane. It's definitely a movie that's not for everybody.
No,
It's definitely a movie that's not for everybody. But I think if you're a horror fan and you're a Nicolas Cage fan and you're a rock fan, it's visually stunning. It's got some amazing scenes. It's just Nicolas Cage, batshit crazy, just getting drugged up and just murdering this cult that destroyed his life. It's the plot of the movie. It's crazy, and yes, it's just insane. It's just like the ending, just him in that car covered in blood. Like, insane. It's really because Brian Barth that's all the movies that they were offering him, and that's what he likes to do. So that's basically why he's in his phase. That's what he does. Eventually, he's going to TV, which we see now. He is going to TV because he's going to be Spider-Man Noir for Amazon. So that's what he said. He said, "Go ahead."
I'm more of a noir protector.
Noir protector. Nicolas Cage.
He has a movie out right now called Arcadian that just hit VOD after a brief theatrical run. And I know it's getting kind of mixed reviews, but I dug it. It's kind of like A Quiet Place with Cage in it. But and the monsters that are in it, which are like these tiki alligator jackhammers from hell. I mean, the monsters are creepy as fuck in it. And I know it's not getting a whole lot of play, but I really dug it. So and Travolta to me is kind of the same way. Is I'm getting, and also Mickey Rourke and some others. To me, these guys never left. So
I
whenever,
think Nick Cage and Travolta's got a better chance than Mickey Rourke.
yeah, well, yeah,
Mickey come back.
but
So I think Mickey Rourke's he's pretty much done.
but I mean, I'm getting really kind of tired of like, oh well, this is like a comeback. It's like, no, I mean, they just went off and made smaller films because that's what you have to do now. And you're kind of seeing, if you don't mind me going off on a rant for a minute, and this is all partially having to do with the strikes and all, in the fact that the studios are not putting out the content that they used to, as you're seeing actors kind of taking roles that ordinarily they wouldn't have to, which is how Michael
Typically,
Emerson winds up in one episode of Fallout, but
it's typically these actors that
Yeah.
Hollywood no longer deal with, and they know it. And like I said, keep an eye out because I'm trying to get it done. But I have my documentary, The Importance of Independent Film, coming.
Yeah.
It's with some great independent directors telling you why it's important. I just got to get it finished. It's hard. It's been taking them longer than I anticipated, and now it's summer and the kids are home, so school's out. So I'm working.
Yeah,
Maybe that'll help talk about what you were just talking about.
Yeah, and I've said this on a couple of shows now. It's like, don't blow these smaller movies off, because independent film is going to save cinema, in my opinion. I could be proven wrong. Who knows? But I find myself being pulled more towards these smaller movies. And if Nicolas Cage is going to do these smaller movies, and if John Travolta is going to do these smaller movies, or Aaron Eckhart is another one, yeah, I'll give them a chance.
I'm not too sure on this because I never watched the Spider-Verse and I don't know about it, but is Spider-Man Noir, is that Peter Parker or is that somebody else?
Somebody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's Peter Parker, Brian Barth. He's not playing Peter Parker. He's playing the second alternate multiverse version of him.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, well, I gotta say I do like Mandy, so that is something I like.
Yeah. All
right. Well, I guess we'll go to me, Tom, and then we'll go to you because you'll be the last pick. And
all right.
I just had a hankering to watch this movie as well. Everybody's been talking about it, and so I got this out, and I watched The Mummy from 1999, starring Brendan Fraser. This 4K scan looks a little weird. I didn't get a chance to put in the Blu-ray of this, but I don't remember everything looking so golden because I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. I know it's got a gold tint to it because they're in Egypt and everything, so they like put a sort of a gold tint to it. But there's certain scenes where it's like they look almost like they're jaundice, like really bad. And I don't remember it being that golden in certain scenes. So I'm not so sure about this 4K transfer here. I'm not really sure. I'm sure it's probably a upscale from the Blu-ray. I meant to put in the Blu-ray before I watched it, but yeah, I just don't remember being so golden sometimes. Like even like on this, if you can see the artwork here, is even a little more than I remember. But no, it's just everybody's been talking about The Mummy. I've seen it all over my timeline, and it just had an anniversary. I do enjoy the first Mummy movie. You guys know I love the Universal monsters. And I think this is a good one.
It's native 4K, but this is a really early Universal release, it looks like here. Like this came out in 2017.
Yeah.
So back then, knowing them, it's either not from the negative or they just did a piss poor job with it.
Yeah, there's some scenes that look fine, look great. There's no problem whatsoever. And there's the other scenes where it's just like is he supposed to be that golden yellow? You know,
I
It's like,
think if I recall from the DVD, it always did kind of have a sepia
yeah,
tone kind
I
of
remember.
look
Yeah,
to it, but to kind of emulate that 40s era kind of thing or whatever. But yeah,
yeah, because I do. I mean, I do remember. Like I said, I do remember it being a little. Maybe it's just the way the 4K presents it.
yeah, it
You
could
know,
have
with
just overdone it.
HDR. Yeah, because it's very clear. It looks great. It does look great. There's some great scenes. The CGI doesn't quite hold up in certain spots. And of course, we know what the CGI in part two with The Rock is one of the worst
Yeah,
CGI things. But no, I had fun with the first one. I haven't seen the original this Mummy in a very long time. It is a fun adventure film. I do think it is one of Brendan Fraser's best movies that he's did. I just had a good time with it. It is an old school movie that you don't see a lot of. It's a good one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe after I thought about it, now thinking about it, maybe it was just like the HDR and the brightness of the 4K and how it amps it up. Maybe that's why it just looks a little more yellow than normal or
Mhm.
golden or whatever. So yeah, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't seen it in so long. I haven't, and I don't have that version, so I couldn't tell you. So yeah,
yeah.
but if I had to
But
make an assumption, yeah, it's just because it's an older release. I think they did do a scan of the negative for that, though.
did it?
I
I
think
mean, it
so.
looks good. It does look good. I didn't remember some of that gold. I mean, I knew there was a tint to it, but I just didn't remember it looking quite like that.
Well, some of Universal's older Blu-rays, I mean, they were fairly decent scans or whatever you want to call them, but like just they weren't the greatest of releases. It was early on in 4K, so they have some of them are even, I would say, like if I remember right, like a little over sharp in some places and stuff. Like they just have some artifacting and issues because they were still figuring it out. Because Universal was one of the early 4K adopters. Like,
Mhm.
'cause, I just watched what was it, like 2 weeks ago when I brought on Big Lebowski. Like
Yeah,
that's one of their older 4K scans too, and it looked good, but I could tell it was an older scan. You know what I'm saying? Like it's starting to show the age and the limitations of what they could do at that point with compression and everything like that and how it works. The technical shit. Yeah. Like
yeah,
now, like even now we get to a point where we can throw in certain DVDs where we've talked about they look almost as good as a Blu-ray.
yeah,
It's because they've kind of figured out the formula. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for a Blu-ray of the Michael Keaton movie that we talked about.
Johnny Dangerously,
Johnny
yeah.
Dangerously. That would be nice, but the DVD looks pretty good so far, so I'll hold on to that till then.
And I swear the only reason that looks as good as it did is because they didn't manipulate the fuck out of it.
Right?
Like they just did a straight HD down convert or whatever is what I think, and maybe even had a 4K scan it's just sitting on or something. Who knows? But that's
Yeah,
a
but
movie, and I think that DVD came out around the same time the Disney sale, if I remember. So,
yeah.
and
Um,
early adopter too, and they're probably got some of their worst earlier titles because a lot of theirs they weren't taking from the negative. They were
mhm,
doing scans of like the inner positive or whatever. But yeah,
yeah. Um, yeah, but I mean, I can recommend it. It looks good. It's just I just couldn't remember. Maybe like I said, the bright richness of the colors and everything maybe just brought it out more. Like I said, I've enjoyed. I remember seeing I saw the first Mummy. I saw the first two Mummies in the theater. I really liked the this one. Um, so yeah, it's been a long time, and we really truly don't get movies like this anymore. I can't say I'm much of a Steven Sommers fan who made this movie because most of his movies after these Mummy movies were shit. So he's not like the greatest director in the world. I think he got lucky readapting this movie, and the rest of his movies were not as not where they should have been. But Arnold Vosloo as the Mummy is great. Rachel, what's her name? Is her name Rachel?
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz is great. The chick that plays the golden one, the woman in the beginning of the movie, she's got a
Mhm.
great ass. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's fun. It's a good fun adventure flick. It really takes you back, like you could really it's like the Indiana Jones and like the Mummy and stuff like that. That's what it feels like. That's what it truly feels like. Indiana Jones and the Mummy of Emotep. That's what it could have really been called. So yeah, I think it's great that Brendan Fraser's back in films, but I've yet to see. I know everybody loved The Well. It's not really my cup of tea. I don't plan on watching The Well, but he hasn't really been anything I want to see since he's been back. you know, that's the honest truth. I hope he makes some good movies, but that's the truth. And good night, Brian Barth. Thanks for hanging with us. Have a good one. Good night, Rook. Rook's not here. He left a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Close.
no, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's I'm close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, if you guys want to pick up the 4Ks, I think the 4K is pretty darn cheap still. That like the Mummy 4Ks are cheap. I think and plus you can get like the first 3 on a 4K set if you want all together for like $30. The first 2 are the only ones worth it. The third one isn't very good, even with Jet Li. And the Scorpion King's fun. It's just really cheesy and over the top, but it's fun. It's but it's The Rock. So yeah, there you have it. So, and if anybody wants, speaking of which, while I'm here, well, shit, where'd I put it? Never mind. I was going to hold up the digital code. I thought it was still in here, but it's not in here, so I don't know where I put it. Sorry, everybody. I was going to hold up the digital code, and you guys could have took it, but because I don't think I need the digital code. If I find it, I'll bring it up to you. But to you, Tom, let's go to you. What do you got for your final pick of the night if you're ready? Mm-hmm.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm on mute.
There we go.
Yeah, speaking of like weird cravings or getting a bug up your butt to watch, I had a fucking mosquito. Anyway, getting a bug up your butt to, speaking of bugs, to watch something you're not used to, or not used to, something out of nowhere, weirdly. I don't know why. I got it in my head. I'm gonna watch this again.
Oh, that one.
I don't know why. I just did. I'm like, I'm gonna see it again just to see. And I see where people were like, because I never had a 4K player the first time when it came out. So I compared the Blu-ray to the 4K. You can't even tell the difference. Like, there's absolutely no discernible difference whatsoever. The movie wasn't as bad as I remember it, but I'm like picking out all the wokeness in this movie this time out. So like the first half or so is not bad, but then as the movie gets going, you realize like half this movie's on the cutting room floor. And good. Because it just goes downhill fast in the last half of the film. Like the problem with the movies, I didn't even have a problem so much with them having Toulon be bad, because it kind of goes along with part 2 or whatever you want to call it, or however you want to go with about it. And I actually like the puppets, and some of the puppetry and the specs are not bad at all. The problem is this asinine woke idea of having them, oh, well, they're Nazis, so of course they're going to go after anybody who's black, gay, all that business. So like that's kind of the whole sticking point of the movie, and Thomas Lennon figures it out, and he's actually not bad in the movie. That's the sad part, is like I almost wish they would have let him do a rewrite on the script, because you can tell he's improvising through a lot of it too. And his stuff is probably some of the better shit, like the stuff between him and his dad in the beginning of the movie, and some of the other stuff like his camaraderie with his friends and whatnot. And I actually don't mind the love story here, but you can tell so much of the movie's been left on the cutting room floor. Like there's even bits where you cut into a scene and you can tell that probably about 2 minutes of that scene was chopped off. Have you guys seen this one or not?
I've not seen the remake of it.
You've never seen it, Greg?
No, because I've heard really bad things about it. And
it's not as bad as you'd think. It's not nearly as bad as some of the worst Puppet Master movies. But for some reason, this time, all the woke shit stuck out to me like a sore fucking thumb.
Maybe because you've seen it so much lately, the wokeness.
Yes.
That kind of surprises me, because wasn't the guy who wrote and directed Bone Tomahawk like a writer-producer on this one or something like that? Or
it's not the worst. It's from the producer anyway. I don't know about the writer.
Okay.
But it was written by S. Craig Zoller, so I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Unless that's the thing, is there's a story here. You know? There's a decent remake here, or even like a requel, or whatever you want to call it. Like, so since you guys haven't seen it, I thought you had, Greg. I'm sorry. So I guess I'll go into a little bit of the story.
Go ahead.
It's not a straight remake of the original film, though. They take little elements of the original film. It takes place. Well, it starts out in 1989. Toulon is played by, oh shit, what the fuck's his name? He's like that. I don't know if he's French or Udo Kier.
Oh,
He plays
yeah.
Toulon, and it starts out in 1989 as a throwback to the original film. And he just comes into a bar and he's like he's got like burnt face and all this stuff, and you can tell he's like an old former Nazi and all that stuff. They don't really hide it too well. And of course, he's talking to this bartender, getting a drink, and talking to this girl at the bar. And then he realizes that they're lesbians. So he gets all disgusted and leaves. Well, then they get killed by the puppets. Okay. And he has it set up that like he has like this, how he makes the puppets work in this, unlike the original films, it's different. He has like this tomb that he's in, and it has like all these conductors sticking out of it, like the old rods for like cement work. It's like conductor rods and shit. So like he'll control the puppets through like this trance that he goes into when he goes into this chamber. Well, so then the cop, played by Barbara Crampton, and this other guy figure out, or they already kind of know it's him, so they come after him after they find the bodies, and they kill him, so they think. So then, of course, it jumps ahead to the modern day. Thomas Lennon is a guy who's like a 30-something comic book artist who just got in a divorce, and he's moving in with his folks. And his brother, who died a few years back, they don't really give you too much info right away, but you find out more as you go along. He was going through his room and he finds one of the puppets. Now, there's like 2 variants on Blade in this movie, which is kind of cool too. So there's like newer versions of some of the old puppets. There's some brand new puppets. And then like Blade, they have like 2 different versions of. So like, there's elements of it I like, and then there's elements I don't like. So like he finds this puppet, he meets this girl, he's working in a comic book shop with his buddy and all this stuff. So all that stuff's well established. And he gets the idea he's going to take the doll to this expo where there's all these people who are getting together because he thinks it's one of the famous Toulon dolls. I can't remember exactly what keys him into that, but like, excuse me. Because like I said, you can tell an editor went through this movie and just chopped it as much down as they could. It is a tight ass 90-minute movie. Like they just chop, and you can tell. And because like I said, the whole like like from 1 minute they go from the meeting scene of the girl and him to their fucking already, and like they've been dating for weeks. So you can tell it jumps like a good 10-20 minutes in the story, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but a lot of it's just so they can get to the fucking hotel. So like this convention is actually happening at this hotel, and it's all about the Toulon murders and the Toulon dolls. And there's X amount of dolls, and a bunch of collectors have some of the dolls. Some of the dolls have been stolen over the years. And then like Thomas Lennon finally figures out, like at first, because he comes back and his doll's missing, he's like, shit. He's like, we got a place where there's a bunch of very expensive dolls in one place at one time. You know, somebody's going through and robbing everybody. Well, of course, then he figures out that they're not robbed. They're actually coming back to life because Toulon's final resting place was his fucking tomb. Spoilers! Like you didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, the puppets are full on bad in this movie. There is no good versus bad or like Toulon's misunderstood or no. He's a flat out Yahtzee / the puppets kill anybody who's black, gay, whatever. Right? Like that's the... Because like he starts to figure out, because like the cop, Barbara Crampton's one of the cops, and then there's this other detective, and Thomas Lennon, whose dad is also a cop or whatever, he starts to figure out what's going on before the actual cop does. And of course, they won't let anybody leave at first because there's been a murder, and of course, the cop's trying to the detective's trying to investigate a murder. Of course, Barbara Crampton, who was there the night that Toulon was shot, she knows all this stuff. Well, she's now like a security guard at the Toulon Museum.
Right.
So like she's actually kind of fun in it too, that she's there and stuff like that. So it's got some fun. You might actually dig it more than you'd think, but that's the problem with the movies when it kind of dives too much into this. Oh, well, since they're Yahtzees, well, of course, everybody they kill is because they're Yahtzees.
Well, because like the way you were explaining it, it actually sounded pretty good with the whole he's a comic book guy and he falls in love and he gets the doll and they're mean. All that sounds pretty good. And then Barbara Crampton's in it. I like Barbara Crampton. And then when it gets to the point where he's like, oh, well, they start killing all these, and that's kind of like, that does sound like the bad parts of the movie.
Because Thomas Lennon puts it all together and it's like, well, of course he's killing all these people because they're Yahtzees.
I have to check it out. I've been meaning to. I really, really have been meaning to check it out because I've wanted to, but I've heard things about it. I haven't like you've described it more than anybody has ever described it to me. Because usually it's like, oh no, it sucks. The puppets are bad. It's it's this, it's that, and it's just like, okay, but why? And then you've described it way better than anybody's ever described it to me. So I may have to give it a
No,
watch.
I mean, overall, like I said, it's like it starts promising, then it's okay, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. Like the last part of the movie kind of feels like, is this even the same movie anymore? Because it goes from like, okay, you're really trying to tell us a story to we're just gonna have all out puppet, carnage, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of feels like the writing kind of became secondary in the last half of the film.
Yeah, just kind of, let's just end it.
Because then from there, it basically just becomes almost like a remake of the original film, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's in a hotel and all that kind of business. Like, at that point, like, they even have, like, the name of the truck is, like, Bodega Bay Landscaping and shit. Like, there's all kinds of little tossbacks to the original film in it, but...
Yeah, like I said, Barbara Crampton's in the original film, so it's kind of interesting. She has a bigger role in this one than she does have in the original. So, I'll have to check it out. I
totally spaced out that she's in the original.
Yeah, she's in the original. She's because I just watched the first one a while back. I think she's on the news. She's one of the news people in the original.
I'm sitting there trying to remember, who the fuck did she play?
Yeah, she's barely in it for brief.
Woman at Carnival, yeah.
Oh, Carnival. That's right. They read their palm or whatever.
Okay, so she was yeah, that's right. She was
yeah,
she was the one who was getting her palm read or whatever. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
and supposedly they use Richard Band's theme, but I could barely recognize it in the end credits scene. And then the theme song they have for like the main credits feels like it's for some other movie. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's because otherwise, like, the movie doesn't look too bad. I mean, it was shot fairly well for how cheap it was. It's one of I think it's Fangoria's first movie they produced.
Oh, the new Fangoria.
Yeah, the one that blocked you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was thinking. I'm like, when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, is this the reason they blocked him? Maybe he gave this movie a bad review.
Apparently, from what I've understand, it's a blockchain. Somebody that followed me, I guess they don't like.
I see.
I have no idea who it is.
It's funny that they didn't block me because most of the people that we
were like, oh, we run in the same circle.
A lot of
so
the
I
same
have
circles.
No idea who it is. I'm like, whoever it is pissed them off really good. So, yeah.
I wonder if I'm blocked now. Let me see.
You could check. It's I guess he was whoever the person is, he or she. I think it's a he. That is. I think they were harassing the new editor really bad. So I guess just from what I can gather, from what little I know, and I guess that's how I got blocked on, because I'm not blocked by him anywhere else but Twitter. So, yeah. Go figure. But no, I have to check this out. It's because I did like some of what you were describing. I did like the way that how the story progresses, other than some of the, like you were saying, how they're Yahtzees. So
and I like Thomas Lennon. That's
I do. He's funny.
Like, I really do. And you can tell he's doing the best he can with this shit.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I get to be in a remake of Puppet Master. Oh, this is the remake of Puppet Master I'm in.
I mean, I hate to say it, he's almost maybe a little too old for the role. It feels like, but they kind of make it like he's like this pushing 40 something,
I was gonna say, when you said he's like in his 30s something, I'm thinking Thomas Lennon in his 30 something.
Yeah, they don't really say, but like, yeah, you can kind of say, going off of his parents' age and the girl he dates, and they dye his hair black and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I mean, honestly, if anything, he just kind of is playing against type, but if anything, he just shows you how good of an actor he is.
Yeah.
Because this is totally not the role I would never have cast him for this role as it is written.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it wasn't, like, I would have changed a few things and still had him in there. Because like I said, I love his camaraderie with his dad and his friends. And you can tell that a lot of that shit's probably him improvising. Because it's actually some pretty funny stuff. So, and Thomas Lennon's fucking hilarious. For those who don't know,
great.
He's one of the main guys behind Reno 911, and he plays the captain or whatever.
Yeah, the first time I ever seen him was before Reno 911. I don't know if you remember, but there was a show on I believe it was Comedy Central, where he was supposed to be like I want to say a French guy, and it was like supposedly like a show that was brought over to America, and it's him in the
Variety.
Viva Variety, yes, yeah, that's where I remember seeing him first, and before Reno 911, which I thought that was very funny, a very funny show. Some of the people behind Reno 911's on that show. So
But then again, I mean, if the person that wrote it is actually a decent writer, maybe he didn't have to. But I wish they kind of almost would have let him punch it up in
yeah,
a
they
weird way,
should've.
because it needed a rewrite, or it needed a little bit. I mean, it's just bad. Like, you don't need to have this whole, oh, he killed them because they're lesbians, he killed them because they're gay, he killed them because they're black.
Yeah.
You know, like, it should have just been just because he's a Yahtzee.
Yeah, he's just killing.
I mean, do you need any other fucking reason?
Yeah, exactly. So why you got to come up with stuff like
Dude's
that?
just nuts enough to have like living puppets. I mean, isn't that enough of a reason? Like,
Yeah,
does it have to be like motivated in any way? No.
exactly. And you mean Thomas Lennon could have easily played the Paul Lamont part, and that could have been even more.
Yeah, not even close. None of that is not like that part of the story. Not even like the only thing that's resembling the original story is that it all takes place in a hotel at the end, because
yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I'm just saying, like, that's the only similarity. Other than that, just little throwbacks. Otherwise, this almost could have been its own movie.
Yeah, like another.
Or, I mean, it is kind of its own movie, but it's not really a
20 or
remake of the
whatever.
original film. It could have been another sequel in a weird
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, could you imagine like him playing like the Paul Lamont part where like psychics and he's at a hotel with like a comic convention hotel for that? Now that could have been pretty funny. That could have worked, because like it would have been like, here's an homage to the original, but it's like he's completely out of his element this time around or something.
I mean, that's probably what helps the movie, is it does have a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take itself so seriously, but I still feel like if anything, they maybe should have tried to tie it to the original films by, like, they could have, like, in a backdoor way explained why Toulon is the way he is in the second film by saying, yeah, that's not Toulon and neither is this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the other guy who stole Toulon's name and his identity and his, ability with the puppets. And I'd have been fine with that, because that's the only reason I don't like part 2. Because I like part 2, but I don't like it because it goes against every other movie.
Yeah. What's pretty funny too? So speaking of Toulon, Greg Sestero played Toulon in one of the movies, and he's from.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was like one of his first big roles that he got before The Room.
He even talks about it in the book.
In the book, yeah, and he's the only reason he got it was because he listened to some dumbass kid, because the Asian he was with had like a decent name.
Isn't it because they shot it in Italy or something like that?
Yeah, they shot it over there too. Yeah. But like he mailed out a bunch of his headshots with the name of the talent agent that was sponsoring him, and so people thought it was coming from her, and so like he sort of got the job because they thought he was bigger than he was over there at Full Moon, coming from this woman, and he gladly accepted it because he got to go over there and he played Toulon, and he did that. He knew how to do French.
It's not a bad movie, actually.
Yeah,
I like it. I mean, it's one of those movies that Richard, like, how do I put this? You can tell it's fucking cheap as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look, Ma, we're making a movie.
Yeah.
But the story is good enough that you kind of ignore it as, like, if you look at it as like a TV kind of movie, like a cheap kind of movie, like in that sense, it's a lot better than it has any fucking right to be.
Right.
To the point where I have thought about cutting a version of The Puppet Master where you take that movie, then part 3, and then the first film and cut them all together.
Oh yeah, you can tell one concise story. Yeah. That'd be great. You should do that. You should do that and send me a copy, because I want to see that.
It's a big undertaking, but like
that is.
Yeah.
I should. You know what? I should probably try to get Brooks Davis to come on here one night. He's a collector too. We could have a Full Moon night. He works at Full Moon. He's a
sweet
producer director over there.
Well, we just had on Michael. Oh God, I just forgot his last name now. The guy who wrote Shoot 'Em Up.
Oh yeah.
Michael Davis.
Davis, thank you.
Yeah.
Which is I was going to brag about it to.
Yeah, because Rookie just brought it on.
Rookie, and because I thought it was a comic book, but no, he's doing an animated sequel ish spinoff thing. So it's like a space version of Shoot 'Em Up, really, is what it is. But anyway, like just some of the fun stories he was telling about Full Moon the other day were, I mean, great. And he was there during the heyday because he worked on what was it, the Dragon films, or was it
Yeah.
Dragon World films or one of the others? I know it was the Pet Shop movies and
I know what
no, the Jack and the Beanstalk. That's what he did. Jack
Oh
and
yeah,
the
okay, yeah.
And somebody had said they just saw that not too long ago, out of just ironically, and they said it wasn't that bad. And that's what I said. Oh yeah, Full Moon. That was the beauty of them back then. They didn't spend no money. They didn't have no money, and they were under pressure constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But like Michael said, Charlie would just let them do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah.
As long as he got a completed movie delivered to him, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's still like I said, like Brooks tells me, like I told you when I brought on his movie, Charlie. That's how Charlie is. He just said, "Here's the image. I want this chick on a bed. I want to see her boobs.
Yeah,
do the movie. Just go do it." So that's what he did. Yeah,
you work around those parameters, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of somebody who's up and coming. Like, and that's kind of what Michael was getting at, is you kind of got freedom to show what you can do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would love to have been there at that time. Man, I mean, even though like notoriously, like the stuff that Charlie did behind the scenes, who cares with the money and all that shit? Because he would pocket like half the money or most of the money, and then
Yeah.
only give him a couple $100,000 to make the movie with, and then go shoot it in Italy while he's shooting some other movie at the same damn time.
Yeah.
And look, I don't care. I would have loved to, like, if he would have just given like somebody like me the Puppet Master franchise, I'd have ran with that sumbitch.
Yeah.
Ran with it like you wouldn't have believed, because there's just so much fun stuff you can do with it. And that's the beauty of Full Moon, is that it kind of has that tongue-in-cheek thing that's like, look, we're making a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I should definitely try to get Brooks. Brooks will tell you some stories, man. Once he gets to talking and stuff, he said, he can talk about it. He's a good guy. You should get him on here.
Well, even Michael was going a little far with some of that stuff. He's like, yeah, I don't know if maybe he's wanted by the mom or something like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he tells me this. He told us the same thing everybody tells us about Charlie. And that's funny, because it's like any way he can get away with not paying somebody, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Charlie's great. Oh, I would love that.
Which is a bad thing to laugh at, but it just kind of, it has that, you almost kind of feel good that there's still one of those sleazy old school Hollywood guys still out there.
He's doing good, and he's like Roger Corman. He's still Roger Corman, except,
and I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean sleazy in the nicest of ways, right? Because like Corman, it's like, I don't give a shit what you bring me as long as it's got this and this in the movie.
Exactly.
Because I sold him this.
Exactly. So. It's so cool. It's so cool.
As long as it's about a killer whale who can walk on hind legs, I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Just do it. You got $100, 10 days. Go.
It can be the fucking Lawrence of Arabia of mutant whale movies. I don't give a shit. And you bring it in on budget.
Yeah.
You got anything extra, you're going to pay for it, not me.
But it's true. The only difference between Corman and Band is Corman never lost money.
No. Well, Charlie, that's the thing. And that's where Michael was getting into it too, is like, I mean, with his upbringing, like he thinks he was never taught how to finance properly. Like his dad was somebody who supposedly did a lot of the same kind of stuff, and he was basically taught how to, like, I'm trying to remember if I should even tell this story now. But I can't remember if Michael told us before or after the show now. Or during the show or around the show.
Yeah, I've heard.
But he was talking about how, like, his parents would stay in hotels for the longest time, and then they'd skip out in the middle of the night and not pay the bill.
Oh.
So they're like, Charlie was raised in this way. Like, it wasn't like, it's not, we're not making excuses for him. He's an adult. He should know better. But I mean, you can kind of see where the roots of this comes from, but like it works perfectly in Hollywood, because he is one of those old school movers and shakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he has that thing about him, and that's the thing in Hollywood you should learn, is you give anybody in Hollywood money, you're never going to see it again.
Right. It's true. It's very true.
It doesn't matter how good of a fucking salesman they are. Mm-hmm. Even if it's Titanic that they produce, guess what? Didn't make any money.
Yep.
We took a beating in Paraguay. In Ghana, they just don't get it. We should have never spent a fortune on advertising there. Like I say,
Um,
Hollywood math exactly style section. It always matters who's asking, right? If it's the press, if it's somebody they need to impress, then it's the biggest movie of all time. It was the most profitable, made more money than any movie's ever made before. If it's somebody they might owe money to, oh damn, it's still in the red. In fact, we lost like $700 million on that movie.
Yep. Yep.
It's so sad. E.T. will never be profitable.
Never made a dime. Sorry. Biggest movie ever made.
No,
Yeah.
no
Didn't
money
make
there.
anything.
But you're
You know-
making the 5th movie now. Well, that's how we got to make the money back.
we got to pay back. You know what's funny though? What I also honestly I did not know this till a little while ago. Charles Band's son is the lead singer of the band The Calling. Do you know that band? They have a big hit from I believe it's late '90s, early 2000s called "Wherever You Will Go." That song.
Oh, no, I didn't even know that was, yeah. Well, I'm not surprised because, like, I mean, I think, like, his brother clearly is in music.
Yeah, Richard Band's music. He does.
Yeah, so I can't remember if, like, it's something that ran in the family or not, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sure.
And Richard's good. I mean, if anything, he's too good for his brother's movies in a way.
He's got a good soundtrack to it, but yeah. No, that surprised me because I remember hearing that song everywhere, especially with Smallville. It was on Smallville big time. Yeah, speaking of wherever you will go, I couldn't believe that was Charles Band's son. That was his son. He's a front man of that band. Go figure. But no, yeah, Brooks has told me some stories too, so I can't say nothing because
Cool. I'd love to talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I should get him on here. I think you guys would click.
Yeah.
Big time.
No, I was kind of surprised how much I didn't cringe this time watching it outside of the woke business. Like, it almost felt like, okay, the movie got better than the last time I watched it because I don't know, maybe I went in with some kind of expectations. Maybe I don't know what the fuck the first time I watched, because I just flat out remember hating it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just fucking hating it.
That's like one of the reasons.
Disappointed in Thomas Lennon. Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's like one of the reasons why I never watched it because some of the people I've talked to is like they hated the movie. So I was like, but you've described it better, like I said, than anybody I've talked to. So
well, maybe this time out I'm seeing the potential in it, and I was like, God damn. Because they almost tease like more to come, right? Like it even says like there's even that old famous like to be continued kind of thing at the end, and clearly they didn't. But you kind of look at it, it's like it was almost there. It was almost there. Like, and because really, I mean, the way it looks and considering they actually used the money for the movie, like Charlie.
Is Charles Band a part of the movie?
Oh, he's just executive producer or whatever. Just a name title only or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Like he got a pretty fat payday from what I heard for this one. And that's the thing is you can tell this movie has had a bigger budget than probably all the Puppet Master movies put together since the first one, probably. And it does. I mean, it's not like amazing, but the fact that special effects, CGI stuff has come so far. Like the puppets themselves aren't CGI, but what they've clearly done is they CGI'd out the puppeteers. So the puppets look good. The puppeteering, what little there is in it, does look good. I mean, I wouldn't say there's no puppets in it. There's some like the puppet mayhem is mainly in the last part of the film, though, mostly.
Yeah.
But like I said, they do have like kind of like two different versions of Blade in a weird way. Like you have one where he has his hands like split out, like they split out in the middle, and like a knife comes out one and a hook comes out the other. Then you have the other Blade where he actually has the hands that are the knife and the hook, and they have different hair. And then there's like completely new puppets, like I said. And this, I don't even remember seeing this bear one in the movie, actually. Or beaver or whatever the hell that is. But like, yeah, like the flying one is in there and some other ones. There's there's some a lizard guy and some other things, a frog looking lizard guy.
Do they still have Pinhead? Is Pinhead in it?
Yeah, Pinhead's in it. All the original. The only one that's not is Miss Leach.
Oh, really?
I think, which is kind of weird. Yeah.
I guess because she's a woman.
I think, if I remember right, I think they even have a version of Six Shooter in here, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they got
Torches here, Tunnelers here, Pinhead's here. The two different versions of Blade. Trying to remember. And then there's like 4 or 5 new ones, yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to give it a watch. I definitely have to give it a watch because that's one.
I think it's pretty cheap too.
one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got it cheap, brand new. I remember when it first came out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I still think I don't think the price of that was ever very expensive at all.
Yeah.
I think I seen it for like $12 at one time.
You can get it for $11.85 on 4K Blu-ray. Right
yeah, there
now.
you go. Right there, $12 from the day it was new to now.
There's only one left in stock. Hurry! No,
I better hurry.
Actually, they might only have it on standard Blu-ray for Amazon right now. Same price, but honestly, quality-wise,
yeah, same. It's the same. It's probably one of the ones without the HDR that they put out for a while.
yes, it does not have any HDR.
Yeah, it's
like,
kind of
like you literally cannot tell the difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K.
Yeah, it's like the one that Nicolas Cage. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, is the Color Out of Space. They put it on 4K. There's no HDR, and that's a movie that screamed for an HDR because of the color palette. In fact,
I think it's the same release company that did it.
Yeah, I think it's the same company.
The RLJ films or whatever.
And speaking of Mandy, there you go. That's what's his name's he has part of it that Steven was talking about.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that be the end of the stream tonight. Thank you, Stephen, for filling in tonight for the absentee youngins. And thank you, Tom, for hanging with us as well, with me as always. Charles Band, where's my sequel? The transfers freaking.
Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is also one of the producers on this too. By the way.
Oh, really?
Remember his name was on it. Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe it was a tax shelter.
It might have been. They just needed some money.
Yeah, they're like, Charlie, we need to figure out a tax shelter. I'll tell you how to do it.
We'll make a remake of the Puppet Master.
Of course, he would find a way to benefit himself in the process.
Oh, of course, definitely.
That's what makes him the best.
Yes. To be honest with you, though, Ron, I'm surprised he has not made a new transfer with 78-year-old Tim Thomerson.
Me too.
I would not.
Honestly, considering Greg, you'd probably. I'm surprised if you hadn't heard any story like him on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if he's all for it, but nobody's willing to give him how much he wants.
Right.
That would be my guess because he probably holds Trancers up there as his favorite.
Oh yeah, he loves it, and he loves Tim Thomerson. He loves Tim Thomerson. I believe he was at his wedding. That's
one he went out of his way to get the rights to. That's the only one he actually ever. That's probably the only time he's ever paid for anything.
Yeah. Because that was one of the Empire movies.
That was a joke, but I guess it didn't land.
No, I got you. No,
actually, that's not true. I think he's bought some more of the Empire films back since then. But
he bought a few of them, but that was one of the ones I know.
I think Ghoulies is one of the only ones he doesn't own anymore, and a couple of the other ones now because he bought. Because that's what he was bitching. I heard he bitched about the box set. You might have been one of the people who told me about that.
Yeah, he not
because he's used to keeping all the fucking money.
Yeah. Like the Empire box set stuff, like he didn't make any money off of that, and that's I'll tell you that after we close.
Yeah, I think I've heard it too, basically. So I wouldn't expect another one of those, basically.
Yeah. But thank you guys for hanging with us, everybody out in the chat, everybody at home. As always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
How you doing? Bitches leave.